What's going on, Sixers fans? What is happening? It's your boy Dibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Well, happy NBA trade deadline day. I just got off work, had to jump online because the Sixers just made a move. George Hill traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. We're going to break it down, grade it, but let's throw it to my man, Justin.
So real quick. So I don't want to go too crazy about this, but I do want to post this up on the screen right now. Hold on. I got a screen share. Sorry, this takes a little bit, people. It's a process. So let's look at this. Joel Embiid just tweeted out a picture of eyes and a peach. Peaches, if anyone doesn't know, are typically used as butts in emojis, and Kyle Lowry is significantly famous for having a large butt. So can we talk about the possibility of Joel giving us a little hint right here, because that to me is a hint.
Here we go. By the way,
it's not Joel. It's not Joel.
It's not Joel, man. Did I get screwed over?
Oh no! No!
That's how you start up a podcast. That's how you start up a podcast. Let's go, guys.
Oh no, that tweet's coming down.
No, the tweet is coming down. The Sixers are going up because George Hill is.
I got faked out. That sucks. See, that's the excitement of the NBA trade deadline right there. Is getting freaked out by a Joel Embiid tweet. How do they even see that? Oh man.
That is so.
Sorry, false alarm. George Hill is not the false alarm, though. We can talk about George.
Jared says nope. Notorious Tag says nope. All right, guys, let's
credibility down the table. Goddamn.
Justin, keep us updated on Twitter, man.
Yes, sir.
We are just a little over an hour and 20 minutes here from the end of the trade deadline. Joining us is my man Mark, the host of the Tough Cover podcast. What's up, Mark?
What's up, guys? I'm here. I've been nervously scrolling Twitter all day, trying to avoid work. So I'm here, happy to talk about at least one move. We don't know what else is to come within the next hour, 20 minutes, but I'm excited.
And then we got my boy Justin at J_Persicati. Justin, what's up?
Yeah, I can't say much different than what he just did. I have been anxiously waiting. I did see another report that Keith Pompey said that so let me read it real quick. Danny Green's agent told Danny Green to expect a trade today. So, and did you guys see the rumors also about? Hold on.
All right.
Okay, we already knew this.
Yeah. All right, so let's break down the George Hill trade. All right, so what happened? Sixers are trading for Oklahoma City Thunder guard George Hill. It's a 3-team deal. The Sixers acquired George Hill from OKC. Some guy named Ignas Brazdeikis. I'm not even going to try.
He's a power forward. Yeah.
All right.
Billy brought in another Iggy.
OKC acquired Tony Bradley. A lot of people were upset about that. 2 second-round picks. The Sixers 2025 and 2026 second-round picks. The New York Knicks acquired Terrence Ferguson, Vincent Poirier, and the Sixers 2021 second-round pick. Guys, if you're watching us, please be sure to grade this deal. How did the Sixers do? A to F. Did they get an A? Did they get a B? Did they get an F? Let us know in the comments section. But here we are, guys. Let's look at George Hill's numbers. These are from just a few days ago. Catch and shoot, 47.5% from the field, 47.5% from three-point range, 0.82 points per possession as a ball handler in the pick and roll, 33.9 percentile. He shot 40% from the field in the pick and roll, 1.14 points per possession scoring in isolation, which is 87th percentile, and 57% from the field. His clutch stats are as follows: 19.5 net, true shooting percentage of nearly 55% with a 16% usage rating. This guy is making $9.6 million. He's got a $1.25 million guarantee for next season. He comes with experience playing next to ball dominant guards. This is a guy that can play. He can shoot from 3. He can handle the ball in the pick and roll. Let's start off with Justin. How would you grade this deal? What was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, my reaction is pretty positive to this deal. Obviously, Tony Bradley is a guy that's been giving you a lot now, but realistically, when Joel is back, he's not giving you nearly as many minutes as he has lately. So I think it's great. You're giving off not obviously Tony Bradley is a good player, but you're giving guys who are either out of the rotation or get short minutes in the rotation when the team is healthy for a guy who's going to give you legitimate backup point guard minutes. George Hill is a guy who can run the pick and roll. He can play off ball and shoot the catch and shoot. He's just all around a great player. Especially for our system of passing it down to the bigs and posting people up and passing out the shooters, but also running pick and rolls with Dwight Howard, running pick and rolls with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. He gives you a lot of versatility from that point guard spot and a lot of veteran consistency in the playoffs. Just all around, in my opinion, one of the best moves you could have done at the point guard position. Obviously, I know a lot of people want the Kyle Lowry move. I completely understand that, but I think George Hill is also a very good move. It takes some ball handling responsibilities away from Shake as well. And in the past, Shake has historically been a very valuable off-ball threat. So I think it's honestly a very, very good move, bringing a good backup piece and not giving away too many big rotation pieces.
What about you, Mark? What's your instant reaction and grade?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat to Justin. I didn't hear what grade. I didn't see what grade Justin gave. B or B plus probably for me. Because to me, the Tony Bradley thing, I'm probably one of the biggest Tony Bradley guys. I'm not quite as big as Rob, but I am a big Tony Bradley guy, and I've been higher on him as a backup than Dwight Howard. But and I do think that he would have been a better option in the playoffs to play those 8 to 10 minutes that Joel isn't playing. But I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I still think Daryl probably will bring in a third big. At least, unless he thinks that's Paul Reed, which if that's the case, I know Justin's all in. But George Hill is, like you said, the catch and shoot thing is really what sells me on it. I think that he's the perfect fit to kick out from Joe or from Ben. I really do like the fit. And again, I'm lower on the Kyle Lowry idea than most. So to me, this is the best deal you can make is sometimes the one you don't make. And instead of making some big, huge swing that everyone's looking for, this is a little bit more of a controlled swing where you're not giving away so many assets. You're not giving away Matisse. You're not giving away Maxey. And even if I like Tony Bradley, he's not on par with those kinds of assets. So it would be an A minus A if it was Mike Scott instead of Tony Bradley, but I'll say B plus.
I'm in that B plus A minus range. I think that some credit, is to be given here that we didn't give up Danny Green in this deal. So now you can move Danny Green some part. In a Kyle Lowry deal or something moving forward, Kelly Oubre, who knows, guys? So that is still on the table. So I'm in that B plus A minus range. I think this move really boils down to Shake Milton's ineffectiveness as a point guard, especially in that backup role. You look at his catch and shoot numbers this season, it has not translated. 34.5% from three in the catch and shoot. George Hill, like I said, 47.5%. Percent from three in the catch and shoot in 14 games this year. Let's go back to last year, 50% last year. Let's go back to 2018, 33%. Not great.
so for last year, I saw Tiago. I saw Tiago tweeted. I want to get the right wording on it. Yeah, George Hill was the only player to shoot 50% on off the catch threes last year in 50+ games. So that's a pretty huge stat right there. So that's definitely, I don't know if 50% is an outlier. You said it's around 47% this year, but yeah. I think that's a really solid addition and the perfect skill to add to this team.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just saying, in 2017, he shot 41.6% in the catch and shoot from three. 2016. 40%. So historically, this guy, on paper at least, looks like a really good fit on that second unit next to Ben, Tobias. What's going on, Justin?
Sorry, I don't want to say it because Austin just put it in our Discord. I don't want to say that. I'll wait till if he puts that out. But rumors about that I could see that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense to me.
What's going on?
That would make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Did you see it?
So, is it about? No, I have not seen it.
Dancing.
No, don't got
You
it.
didn't see it?
No.
What?
All right,
You just put it on the Discord. The
Uh,
Sixers Discord.
Yeah, I don't know what you're looking at. The one I'm seeing is just a tweet from someone.
It says it right under it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
All right.
that also made me confused too.
All right, let's go to some comments, guys. Toby says, I'm kind of sad that we lost Tony Bradley. I mean, this guy has been a darling over the last several games. Iman says, give me JJ and a power forward. That's got to be coming, right, guys? There's got to be a big coming very soon. Nasty Nizzle says, solid B on the deal. Doesn't move the needle, but good job getting a backup point guard that can shoot, has playoff experience, and without giving up a key rotation piece. Mark Stein's reporting Danny Green to Golden State. Does that mean we're getting Kelly Oubre? We're going to definitely dig into that. And Notorious TAG says, don't tease us. All right. So there we go. The Sixers have added George Hill. Definitely a very good piece there for the Philadelphia 76ers. You're watching the highlights. A lot of us are pretty positive. Pretty positive. I put a poll onto our YouTube. Let's see where it's at. Like, how would you grade this deal for the Sixers? Right now, 83 votes, 49% give it a B, 19% give it an A, 16% give it a C, 8% give it a D, and 7% give it an F. So, yeah, I think this is a good deal. I don't know how much it's going to make an impact, major impact on, come playoff time, but I think this is still a move that you at least somewhat gives you more shooting. And it when Ben Simmons has shooting and shooters around him, that's when the Sixers flow. And this guy is definitely going to bring that. So what we got here? We got Notorious. Kind of nice. We featured Bradley the past few games, maybe upped his trade value. Guys, what do you want to see the rest of the day? Is Lowry coming? Who are some of the other guys that are on your radar? Any idea, Mark? Any thoughts on that?
For me, I'm honestly, it feels weird because usually at the deadline, whether it be the Phillies or the Sixers, whoever it be, you're rooting for something to happen. You're rooting for the pull of the trigger. It's obviously usually a little less obvious who the targets are. Like in certain deadlines, you don't know exactly who's getting traded. This year, it seems a little more, the names have been out there for a couple of weeks now. So I'm more so just rooting that we don't trade our whole future, 2 first-round picks, Matisse and Maxey, for Kyle Lowry and Danny Green, who's being viewed way too much as a throw-in on this trade. Like I've seen some tweets that are like, Toronto demands Maxey, Matisse, 2 first-round picks, and they don't even list Danny Green. Danny Green's not Solomon Hill. He's not a salary cap filler. He's a starter on the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and he shoots the most threes on the team. So I think, to me, I really don't want to trade Danny Green. I don't really even want to do it for Kelly Oubre. I think Danny Green fits so perfectly on this team as someone who's just a willing 3-point shooter and a veteran in the locker room. So I just think that I know that people get frustrated with his defense. He does get blown by sometimes, but he's still a great help defender and a great transition defender. He's the type of guy that you want on this team going forward, in my opinion. So I don't really want to do much. Maybe small moves on the fringe.
Yeah, the only thing that I can understand, the only thing I see happening to this point, is if Danny Green's going, it's going to be Kyle Lowry. I don't see any other trade that they're going to go for, any other thing that's going to be there. Maybe earlier in the season you could have seen Levine or Beal, maybe, but that was even a stretch. So at this point, if Danny Green is going, it's going to be for Lowry, in my opinion. I think the stuff for Golden State is them just like looking around. I don't think they're gonna try to go for Kelly Oubre because, like you're saying, to me, that's not as much of an upgrade as people may think. Obviously, Kelly Oubre is good. I like Kelly Oubre, but if we're talking about veteran presence, the type of player that Danny Green is fits perfectly in this locker room. Not only, for, like I said, for veteran presence, but also just for play style when it comes to 3-point shooting and good help defense. But I do think the only guy I'd be okay, it's an upgrade, is Kyle Lowry at this point. Austin Krell just tweeted out an interesting statement that I want to put up. This is what we were just talking about. 1 second. I got to put the other. There it is. You can screen share that. So this is our NBA beat reporter for the Sixers, Austin Krell, says the Sixers just traded 2 centers in oh my goodness, Vincent Poirier and Tony Bradley Jr. They like Howard off the bench. Embiid not back yet. Wouldn't shock me if they look at Demarcus Cousins. Now, what are people's opinions of that?
I absolutely love it. I mean, again, George Hill on paper is a perfect fit. So is Demarcus Cousins. I mean, who wouldn't want Demarcus Cousins behind, whether that's behind Dwight or in front of Dwight? I think come playoff time, he adds that spacing that you desperately need that Dwight doesn't give you. That would be an awesome move for the Sixers. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, you can play Boogie with Ben, and I think that's just the most important thing. Boogie has shown the ability. I mean, obviously, he's not the same player he was years ago. He's shown the ability to play in so many different situations. I mean, he played with Anthony Davis. I think Boogie's someone who could come in and fit in right away in terms of someone who could play 8 to 15 minutes in a playoff game if we really needed him to. And we'll get some butt slaps from Boogie and Joel like we did a couple of years ago.
I love it. All right, let's go to some comments. Nasty Nizzle says, bring me Lonzo and Lowry Markkanen and let's start planning the parade. I mean, I would love Lowry to come to Philadelphia. That's definitely a guy that definitely is on our radar. We'll see. And Swalio N says Danny is underrated. I fully agree with that. I don't understand why this guy's so divisive. You look at his numbers this year, like his 3-point attempts are way up, guys. You look at it, 6.2 attempts, the most in his career. How many times did we say the Sixers need to shoot more threes? This guy's doing it and shooting nearly 40%. And I just love what I'm saying. He's not going to give you 20-plus points a night. But for what he is next to Ben and Joel, I think Danny is a very great piece.
Danny's exactly what this team needed. Like he really is. Like he's exactly what you need. He's a guy who's unselfish. He knows his role. He'll stand in the corner and shoot it efficiently, and he can run up on the transition with Ben Simmons and get threes off that way. He can stand in the corner, catch and shoot threes when Joel's banging in the paint. Like he's exactly what you need. Plus, he's a willing defender, and he's a good defender. Not as good as he used to be, obviously. He's a little bit slower, has a hard time keeping up with small guards, but realistically, that's not why he's here. He's here for the veteran presence. He's here for the good help D, and he's good for the transition and catch and shoot threes.
Yep.
I feel like Sixers fans in general have made so much of the Josh Richardson for Seth Curry trade. I don't think there's been quite enough talk about how masterful the Daryl Morey trade he pulled off, where it's Al Horford for Danny Green, basically. I know there are other moving parts, but the fact that you get off Al Horford's long-term money for Danny Green's expiring money, and Danny Green's way better for the current team than Al Horford was. It was just and even if it turned into Kyle Lowry, who whatever I think of him as a positive asset, you turned Al Horford as a wildly negative asset into Danny Green into Kyle Lowry somewhat. So it's a great trade.
Marky Mark says, it was a great Sixers move with George Hill. Get a true second unit point guard, which makes Shake better off the ball and does not blow the team. That was also 100% my take. I fully agree with that, Mark. I think they kind of grew tired of Shake in the pick and roll, and they're going to just try and utilize his other side, which he's very effective at cutting to the basket and impacting the game that way. I think that's where we're going to see kind of Shake's role moving forward. Here we go. So Ari Prince says we need a 3-center right or Paul Reed. We have Amir saying, can Cousins be relied upon healthy though? You look at DeMarcus Cousins, man, 9.6 points a game, 33.6% from three on 4.6 attempts per game. He's shooting 37.6% from the field this year, playing 20 minutes, and he's only started 11 games. Numbers are way down.
Yeah, something I want to say about that is realistically, Cousins, yes, has had a very hard time staying healthy as of late, but he did show with the Rockets what he was capable of doing from the perimeter. specifically. And if I'm honest with you, on this team, he's not going to be playing like big minutes. He's not. Like, you have Dwight Howard, who can bang down low and be that defender in the paint when Joel's off the floor. In the minutes where you would see Cousins, in my opinion, is mostly when Matisse is on the – it gives you more opportunities to put Matisse on the floor with Ben Simmons. Right now, with Tony Bradley, when you had Tony Bradley and Dwight Howard there, it's clogs up the paint. You don't have as much court spread, and you can't put those two great defenders in Matisse and Ben on the court as much at the same time. Now, if you were to bring in Demarcus Cousins, you then have a stretch guy who could stretch the court at the 5, can stay out the corner, stay at the hash mark, hit his shots, and you could have Matisse and Ben patrolling the paint. Patrolling the perimeter. It's to me, that to me is now the top thing in my head. If you can bring in Demarcus Cousins, that to me is even better than like what you have to give away for Lowry Markkanen. Because let me remind everybody here, DeMarcus Cousins is a free agent right now.
Exactly.
He's not a guy you have to trade for. Now, mind you, I still do think it would be nice to get another 3-and-D guy, trying to get Mike Scott off that contract and bring in another guy who can shoot, who's a little bit smaller, can play that 4 spot. I do think you still need that. But regarding the 5 position, bringing in DeMarcus Cousins to fill that third center role / second center role is imperative, in my opinion.
Two quick things on Boogie. To the point that can he be relied upon? You're not relying upon him. You're bringing him in as a minimum free agent. You're taking a swing. And also, just a quick side comment: if our center rotation was Joel Embiid, Dwight Howard, and DeMarcus Cousins, that's pretty funny, just name wise. Like that's pretty crazy.
Definitely.
To have all 3 of those like former All NBA centers on your team.
Yeah, and this is what I tweeted this out too. I said this would be an amazing pickup. DeMarcus Cousins could stretch the court in minutes with Ben and Matisse on the floor. Like that, like realistically, that is like, to me, we have been talking about all season how you can maximize Ben and Matisse on the floor with Dwight Howard. At this point, you don't need to have that isn't your backup anymore. Like that, that to me makes such a big difference. Like I would rather have DeMarcus over Bielitsa at the 5 spot, in my opinion. Gives you a little bit more everywhere.
Ari Prince.
That's like I say, you don't have to trade for him. Sorry.
What do you guys think it would cost to get Lowry Markkanen in Philadelphia? Any quick thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he's on the last year of his deal. I think he's a restricted free agent after this year. So you would have his bird rights, which is awesome. Obviously, you can sign him back afterwards. It would be a move like Mike Scott. See, the problem is now you've gotten rid of Terrence Ferguson and Vincent Poirier. You're going to need to give up somebody in that. So it would probably end up being a Shake Milton or a Tyrese, something like that. Because I don't think, and it could even be Thybulle at that point. But like obviously, no. If they were willing to give Thybulle at this point, we would have Kyle Lowry. So, and I personally, I don't want to. I'm not a fan of giving up on Thybulle and not giving up, but giving Thybulle to the Raptors for Kyle. Yep. So I don't think you move Matisse for a lesser role in Lowry Markkanen. So it's a little tough.
Colin says, "Would you consider Matisse an untouchable?" We've been talking about this, on our Discord chat. Like Matisse Thybulle is like unquestionably one of the most underrated, important parts of the Sixers in a playoff run, especially against the Brooklyn Nets. To me, Matisse's leap forward this year. This guy is this close to becoming a bona fide starter in everything the Sixers need and a wing. And you look at the amount of amazing wings in the East. Like you need Matisse Thybulle moving forward. So, Mark, would you consider Matisse Thybulle an untouchable in a trade?
Pretty close. I mean, maybe not like completely untouchable, but it would have to be a really, really enticing player, like someone that we've talked about a little bit, and it's kind of died down a little bit. I feel like the talks on Lonzo Ball, someone who I think is really interesting because he's 6'6" and because he's so young. That it's an addition for this year and for the long term if you're assuming that you're paying him. So that's someone I've been really high on, and I've even like tried to think about it, and it's like if it came down to like nut cutting time, am I trading Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle and picks for Lonzo Ball? I don't know. Like it's a tough decision for me, and I'm someone who's extremely high on Lonzo Ball, extremely high on his fit here. And I think Lowry Markkanen's a similar player, another young guy who I think could be a long-term piece. And I like Lowry a lot too. And even I kind of find it hard to part with Matisse Thybulle. And then when it comes to with Danny Green, if they I'm on the record, if they were to trade Matisse Thybulle and Danny Green without Maxey and without first-round picks for Kyle Lowry, I think they're a worse team immediately just because of the lack of what they lost on the wings with Matisse and Danny Green. So I guess I'm pretty close to saying Matisse is untouchable.
So I think it's undoubtedly that Matisse is untouchable, to be honest with you. For one, Danny Green's contract is up in a year after this year, and they see Matisse being a Danny Green-like player, and I think it's more than obvious that he is a Danny Green-like player. And obviously Danny Green has a better three-point shot right now, and that's more than obvious. But I think Matisse does have a chance on moving to that. He's got a good shot for him. He just needs to be more consistent with it and get a little bit more touch on it. That's what I see there. So to me, he's untouchable because of that, but he's also untouchable because of, kind of like you said, the type of perimeter play that is in the Eastern Conference. Got teams like Boston, teams like Brooklyn specifically, teams like even the Raptors now after picking up Gary Trent and Rodney Hood. Yeah. So there's a lot of perimeter players in this conference that you need that kind of defense out there. And being that the Sixers lineup is centered around a big man, a lot of their money is allocated towards bigger players right now in Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. So it doesn't make you need all that perimeter defense you can get. And Matisse is really one of the only guys we have on the team right now who's a lock at guarding just about any good player, primary scorer on another team. So it's just there's way too much value in him being on this team to be traded for anybody like Lowry. That's why, to me, the only thing that would make sense is if it was Kyle, and because he can give you that defense. But it's just, to me, I don't think Kyle Lowry's happening, and it's not happening unless they bring down their offer a lot. They're gonna have to be happy with a Tyrese Maxey, a Danny Green, and a second or two, in my opinion, if they're gonna get anything from Kyle at this point from the Sixers.
We have Coltrane saying we don't need Kyle Lowry. He's aging. He wants $25 million. Not to mention the Raptors want so much. Glad we're out of the talks. Not out yet, right?
We're not out. We're not out of the talks. We're on the outskirts of it, and from all the reports, the Sixers are on the outskirts of talk with him because they have been. Morey's been firm in saying that we're not meeting that price. We're not, and I think that's more than obvious. I will say, the $25 million shouldn't be as scary to people as it is because he is on his bird rights. You would get his bird rights, which means that wouldn't count towards the cap in the sense. You would still be able to make moves if you had that. So realistically, that's not too scary. And also, it's been reported that whatever team he goes to, whether he stays with the Raptors, goes to the Sixers, goes to the Heat, goes to the Lakers, he wants another 2 years on that deal. 25 around, I think it averages around 25 million is what the reports were. So I think either way you'd be okay because Matisse is only under contract for another 3 years, just like it would be pretty close to that with Lowry. It's just way different players. You'd be getting more offensively with Lowry. Yeah.
Part of what I was saying about the Horford-Danny Green trade that I loved earlier so much was that it got off long-term money for Horford and it preserved optionality. It left us open to do when something comes up. Let's say in 6 months, if the Bulls start off 5-20 next year, they're probably going to look at trading Zach LaVine. Or if the Wizards start off 2-15, they're going to look at trading Bradley Beal. I'd like to still have the assets to be involved in those conversations, and I don't want to pay it in for the right to pay a 35-year-old $50 million for the next 2 years. But I've made my thoughts known on that. I look at everything through a Brooklyn Nets and a Milwaukee Bucks and an LA Lakers standpoint, and I don't know how Kyle Lowry really ups our chances at beating those teams, in my opinion.
We got another report from Shams real quick. Hold on. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's talking about stuff with Kyle Lowry. 1 second. So two things holding up the Kyle Lowry trade. Lakers won't include Talon Horton-Tucker, and Heat won't include Tyler Hero.
No Sixers in that, huh?
So I think it has I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing with those teams as it is with ours, I believe, where they have young assets that they believe in, like Talen Horton-Tucker, who some casual NBA fans may not know about, but he is a very good young player, very good, and has a lot of potential to be good. Tyler Hero, obviously, most people know about him, Baby Goat, Boy Wonder, or whatever the hell those nicknames are. People know about him. Toronto is trading guard Matt Thomas to the Utah Jazz for a second-round pick.
That's groundbreaking. That might change the whole shit. That might change the whole conversation of what we have here.
It could with the fact of getting another pick to try to make a move.
Well, I touching on other teams in the league that made trades. I thought the Aaron Gordon there's been a lot of talk in our Discord about Aaron Gordon over the last couple of days, and I didn't realize that the opinion on Aaron Gordon was so negative. He's shooting like 40% from three, on more attempts than he usually shoots. I know Orlando's terrible, but he's never really played with a point guard. I think that move for Denver's I wasn't someone who was viewing Denver as a team that could really make a run at going to the conference finals again or go to the finals even. But I think that's the perfect type of move for Denver.
Awesome. So again,
sorry, I'm looking at Kevin O'Connor said the deal with Matt Thomas in Utah says this deal opens up a roster spot for necessary to make a Kyle Lowry trade. So, I mean, I personally think the trade is going to happen. I really do. I just don't. I think the only way it's going to happen is if their asking price goes down, and that if it does, it's going to happen for the next 50 minutes. So that asking price, if it goes down, Sixers, I could see the Sixers jumping on it still. It definitely could happen. The Sixers, even with their move for George Hill, they didn't give up anything that sacrifices a big move. Kind of like what you were saying, Mark, is that the moves they made so far, it doesn't sacrifice big money and flexibility of making other moves. If they got Kyle, it would for future years. But like we said earlier, this is the move right here. This is
Shams just said the Raptors are seriously engaged with the Lakers and the Heat right now.
Yeah, okay. I'm not surprised. It's gonna be if that asking price goes down, and then if that asking price goes down, I do think the Sixers have a little bit more to offer than both those teams. I think the Sixers have better picks and a little bit more value in a player of Tyrese Maxey than a Talen Horton-Tucker or a maybe not a Tyler Hero, but I do think the Sixers are willing to move Maxey now that George Hill is here.
It is officially 50 minutes away from the trade deadline, 2:10. We have Charles saying, Mike Scott needs to go. I hear you, bro. Absolutely. I don't know why he's still on this roster. Just go. EMM says, teams always ask for too much when younger players should be the ones getting asked for more in return. Marky Mark says they need a stretch 4 in the buyout market. Let's go get that championship. We have Coltrane saying, how would you rate the George Hill trade? We just kind of broke it down when we started this pod. I give it a B+, A- range. They still they got a backup point guard in George Hill that thrives in the catch and shoot. He has a long history of doing so, and just a perfect piece for Ben Simmons on that bench. And I love the way this guy can do it in ISO 87th percentile. You got to love that. So across the board, I love the move for George Hill. I think, Justin, how'd you grade it? Like a B+, something?
Yeah, I would say B+, A-, honestly, because you could even go A, in my opinion, with this, because you're giving up not a lot for a guy who's going to give you significant rotational minutes in the playoffs and a guy who's been there before as well. Like I said, you're giving up basically 3 guys that are, when your team's healthy, are not getting minutes. Tony Bradley, before Joel went down, was not getting minutes. As good as he was playing, he was not getting minutes when Joel was healthy. Terrence Ferguson has not been getting minutes, and even with him going, you still have an Isaiah Joe behind your starters as well that can be a reserve. George Hill coming in takes away ball handling pressures for Shake Milton and also adds to your catch and shoot shooting around guys like Dwight Howard, guys like Joel Embiid, like Ben Simmons. He adds pick and roll depth. He can run a really good pick and roll with Dwight and Ben. is a legitimate point guard who's played legitimate minutes in championship basketball, and you can't ask for much more.
What about you, Mark? Quick thoughts just to recap. George Hill.
Yeah, B+, A-. Like I said, if Tony Bradley wasn't in it, if it was Mike Scott, I'd be A+, A++++. But I think that you add a guy with basically giving up nothing. Those second round picks are forever in the future. Daryl Morey is counting on the fact that he won't even be here probably in 2026. But I think it's low risk. It's not extremely high reward or anything, but it's someone you can add that's never going to hurt you too much on the floor and is always going to be a willing shooter from the outside to kick out to.
Steven says Matisse couldn't buy you a bucket if his life depended on it. I understand his defense, but come on now. Dude, I think you got to look away from the box score with Matisse's impact on the Philadelphia 76ers. This guy has been one of the key cogs, one of the main reasons, not only to beat Tobias Harris's rise under Doc Rivers in ISO and all that, but Matisse Thybulle has been absolutely terrific this year, and a huge reason why they've really thrived in those second halves, and they're led by defense. That's the DNA of the Sixers, defense, and Matisse is one of the leaders there.
And Steven, you have to remember as well that our points aren't all coming from that position. That forward position is largely catch and shoot shooting and dribble penetration, dribble penetration out, like going in and to the basket or passing back out to shooters. Like, you're not looking for at that position a lot of buckets necessarily. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to have someone who could get some more for you, but that's not exactly what you need there. With like we said earlier, with the people that are in our conference, the teams that are here, and the amount of perimeter shot creation that you have on other teams, Matisse Thybulle is extremely valuable when you're going up against teams like the Nets, teams like the Celtics, even Miami and Toronto at this point, with the amount of forwards and guards that they have that can really get their shot off anywhere. So I think you have to think about the matchups really, and not necessarily just the offense that you're getting out of that. If you were just looking for offense, I'll tell you what, Matisse wouldn't even be on this team. They would have drafted Carson Edwards.
But look at his splits. You look at his splits from December, January, February, March. His offensive rating has all increased, while his defensive rating has stayed the same. He is a plus minus 16.7 in 10 games in March. Absolutely outstanding. 60.6 true shooting percentage. He's shooting 41.7% from three. I know it's an if. I understand, Steven, but like Matisse is this close to being every ounce of what you want next to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And he already plays championship level defense. It's just a matter of whether the pieces fall for him as a perimeter threat, and we're seeing it. So I'm just nervous. I'm so hesitant when you see Jason Tatum, James Harden, the list, Kevin Durant. Like, the list goes on and on with wings that are going to like just, be, wings versus Matisse, wings versus Ben. That's going to be the matchup come playoff time. You got to have that guy in Matisse that can give Ben at least some sort of slack, because come fourth quarter, that's also been a storyline this year. Fourth quarter has been locked down defensively in the fourth quarters. You got to be able to mix and match there with Ben and Matisse. And I think that is a major weapon that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, and I can understand the where was it? Someone just asked what does here it is. Mark said, still want Kyle. I'm not sure Hill gets us past the Nets. It's not necessarily the Hill move. I don't think you can think of it as, does Hill get you past the Nets? As in defensively, or how a top tier player. It's more like it makes your role players fit more, if that makes sense. You're getting a legitimate point guard now who's had legitimate NBA playoff experience, who won't fall in the moment. He's been in the moment before, is a great catch and shoot shooter, and ultimately just is a Swiss Army knife at that position. Shake Milton obviously is a good player and has a chance of being a good player, but he's still young and still inconsistent at times. This bringing in George Hill gives you a consistent point guard and can solidify roles a little bit more on that bench unit. You can then move Shake. I do think this too. I think with this move, Shake can move to the backup shooting guard spot a little bit more, and you can maybe find some more consistency than Furkan. Because Shake's shooting in the catch and shoot has been really impressive ever since high school. I know you used to know the numbers, Dibes. I don't know if you still do. Hasn't he been in like the 90 to 97 percentile in catch and shooting in high school, college, and the NBA?
Shake, yeah.
Like,
I mean, he's at near 50% from the catch and shoot at SMU with the Blue Coats, with the Sixers last year. The history is there. It's just not clicking this year. It's just a down year.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's more of a down year because he's on the ball more, and it's a very different offense. I think off the ball in that shooting guard spot, him running around picks, him getting himself open, he's got great balance. Like I do think that he would be he'd be even better on that 2-guard spot, and I think we've known that for a while. Like he is a combo guard, and I think he thrives better when he can drive in. Obviously, like you see what he does at the point guard spot when he's going off the pick and rolls, but he can also give you a lot of efficiency off ball typically. What did you put up on the screen here?
FYI, Vin is on the prowl right now. He just liked a tweet of mine from 2017 about George Hill. So I feel like the receipts, he's collecting receipts right now. So just check your Twitter accounts, everybody, and delete all your George Hill stuff. But luckily, mine's not that bad. I said in 2017 that I was good with George Hill on the Sixers. Great fit. Also,
it's funny you say that
because I'm happy with the Okafor shot. I was not a Jahlil Okafor fan.
It's funny. It's funny you say that too, like about earlier times, because like I loved George Hill for a while. When George Hill first went to the Bucks, I was super sad. Like that because that at that time he was shooting 40% from 3. He plays good defense off the bench. He's hitting deep threes at that. He was hitting all these clutch shots for the Bucks in the year where the first time Giannis won MVP 2 years ago. So that was like, to me, I'm just hoping that he can give you even I'm hoping he can give you a good percentage of what he gave you in those years. Because I really think it's so funny to me because And I'm not gonna act like I'm like a know-all, be-all mother. Like I'm not doing that. But the 3 guys that we've picked up this year are all the guys that I've wanted for the past 4 years: Seth Curry, Danny Green, and George Hill. All 3 of those guys I've been saying for literally 3 years I've wanted on this team, and it's all happening all of a sudden. I'm just like, it's crazy. Hawks and Clippers are in a serious talks on deal to send Rajon Rondo to the LA Clippers. Not sure.
I tweeted in May of 2012. Roy Hibbert and George Hill are really impressive. don't know.
Little piggyback off of that George Hill. I mean, what we want is to see those defensive numbers when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks were awesome defensively when George Hill was on the court for them. The Bucks were the #1 defensive efficiency team in the NBA. And when George Hill was on the court, 7.2 points per 100 possessions fewer when George Hill was on the court. You look at this year, George Hill is allowing 48.4% from the field defensively. In comparison purposes, Matisse Thybulle is allowing 37%. So he's not the Matisse Thybulle, but that wingspan, that reactionary quickness. I know George Hill's getting up there in age, but he definitely, at least on paper, could bring you something. Anyway, how many times have we been fooled by that? Like we talked about Josh Richardson, or it was just like, nah, that's not working out. But I'm really excited to see what we got with George Hill here coming off the bench. Mike Grimm is I'm happy Morey showed he has his eyes open on more than one option than Kyle Lowry. Morey knows the Raptors will try to fleece him. Fully agree. Mike Grimm says, happy the Sixers got who I wanted in George Hill. Yes, now we have that second ball handler that can definitely shoot. Keywords, playoff experience. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got that experience playing next to ball dominant guards and having that playoff experience next to Ben, Joel, Tobias, like that's you can't undercount. You got to give that.
You can't undervalue that.
Yeah,
you can't undervalue it.
It's huge. All right, so go ahead, Mark.
Just a point on what he was saying on the first one about how I'm happy Morey had their eyes open on more than that thing. That's what I was getting so frustrated about over the last couple of weeks, especially with Dylan Davis and Matt McGinty on the Daily Dose. That's what I was getting so frustrated about. It felt like all the Sixers fans were completely unwilling to talk about anyone other than Kyle Lowry. Wow. And I'm just happy that Daryl Morey is not just listening to talk radio in Philadelphia and basing his decisions off that. I'm happy he's actually evaluating the market and trying to find the best value, and not just because everyone wants Kyle Lowry. Let's go get Kyle Lowry and trade Matisse to Toronto. By the way, if Matisse Thybulle went to Toronto, he would immediately become like Danny Green on offense, and he'd be like a top 50 player in the league.
Oh no, I promise you.
Same thing, man. Yeah. God, get out of like Matisse Thybulle in Toronto would be.
They would know exactly what to do.
He would be a wrecking ball there. He would be so good.
To me, it's not even offensively for him. It's for their team in general. Their team is very offensive perimeter based, like based on like Fred VanVleet and what Kyle Lowry did, and just and Norman Powell, all of them. So Fred VanVleet, like the backcourt of Fred VanVleet and Matisse Thybulle is pretty scary. Like that's a pretty scary backcourt.
Especially with OG and Boucher. OG, who's a fantastic defender.
I didn't even think about OG.
OG's a fantastic defender. And Chris Boucher, who's really, really burst onto the scene this year as a great shot blocker and just a player in general for Toronto. I do not want to replenish Toronto for the next 5 years with 2 first-round picks and Matisse and Maxey. When you look at how they do with their late first-round picks, they do not miss. They get Pascal Siakam. They get Fred VanVleet. They find OG Anunoby. They don't miss with these picks, and I don't want to give them the opportunity to completely replenish everything going forward.
Fully agree. What should we do, guys? Should we just hang out till 3, or should we just end it?
I don't think we should end it. I think we should hang out.
I'm down to hang.
Yeah. I think we should change. We should change the thumbnail. The thumbnail says, "Should we trade for George Hill or something?"
Well, dude,
I'm seeing George Hill at the Sixers.
The thumbnail says I can hear myself.
Oh, my bad. I'm on it. You host, and I'll fix the thumbnail.
I got you. We can do you want to make it just general, or do you want to make it specifically George Hill?
By the way, we have a game tonight, guys. Sixers.
We do. There is a Sixers game tonight. There is a Sixers game tonight as well. So, but if you guys haven't liked the video, if you're hanging out, please like the video. By the way, I don't know if you are, but please like. We'd appreciate that.
I'll plug. Let me plug something real quick. We've got Faithful Fanatics at 4:00. That they're live. They will be continuing to break down the Sixers trade deadline, and then at 7:30, Scotty, Dylan, and Matt have Tyrone Johnson from 97.5 The Fanatic and Sixers Outsiders talking more Sixers trade deadline. That is going to be an awesome show. Tyrone Johnson brings the heat, guys. You don't want to miss that. It is a blast.
And if you guys don't know who Tyrone Johnson is, first of all, you're hiding under a rock. But 2, how impressive is it that we got that Dylan got Tyrone Johnson on that show on the day of a trade deadline? That's a big deal, in my opinion. Bringing in Tyrone 97.5 on the day of a trade deadline.
I've got Jamie Lynch coming on my show tomorrow. So
listen, we're moving out here.
Just bring 97.5 into the painted lines. Let's go.
Not to compare, but it's smaller. I have a buddy of mine coming on, Alex Carr from the Good Fight, tomorrow to talk Phillies at 5:00 on the Tough Cover podcast. So I'm excited to do that as well. I was going to do another MLB podcast today at 5:00, but that would feel about the most tone deaf thing in the world to be like, let's break down the White Sox. So I'm here to talk about the deadline instead.
Yeah, I got another thing for this. Joel posted this earlier. People were talking about it in the chat, so I figured I'd bring it up now. Joel, obviously, a few weeks ago said, that's it. I've seen enough build around Tony Bradley. That was all over everywhere. But he quoted that tweet and said, y'all better do it. He's the truth, to the OKC Thunder, who have now acquired Tony Bradley from the Sixers. I think Joel legitimately likes Tony Bradley. You've been hearing all the past 2 weeks with Joel being out that that he's been in Tony Bradley's ear and in the team's ear in general about helping them out. And giving him moves, giving him thoughts about how they're playing and how they could do better. Like you got to love that from Joel. That, and obviously like he's secure in his franchise, he's not worried about Tony. He's secure in this franchise, not worried about Tony Bradley coming in here is taking his job, obviously. But like you still, veteran players sometimes aren't doing that. They're like, when they're hurt, they're focused on their rehab. They're not as much trying to focus on helping out their team. And so you got to love that Joel is doing that with Tony. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see him doing that with Tony Bradley for not only the rest of his career, but his time with OKC now as well. Joel's just showing the leadership this year that it's really important for a championship contending team.
Favorite part of today though is Justin getting fooled by that tweet or that.
That's so bad. That's so bad. I was so excited. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I was so excited because like when I saw it when it first got tweeted. So in my head, I'm like, yo, I can put this out real quick, and I'm like, it's a peach like that. Like that's something that I feel like Joel would do. That's funny as hell. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put this out, and then as soon as I did that, you guys were like, I'm just like, oh great. Oh, Hawks are in serious talks on Rajon Rondo to the Clippers for Lou Williams package. Sources tell Shams. So that's I mean, listen, Lou Williams going to Atlanta is a little bit odd to me.
I do know he's taken a step back this year, Lou will, but I can't imagine that he's been worse than Rondo.
Yeah, if the Sixers got Lou Will, I think that'd be amazing. But
yeah, that's true.
That's another guy who I've wanted for a while. He gives you a lot. He gives you a lot of the same things that George Hill gives you, in my opinion. Right, besides defense, George Hill definitely gives you better defense.
Thumbnail is officially updated. We are good to go.
Awesome.
Adam
Schefter's
tweeting about Arizona Cardinals centers getting traded to the Vikings right now. No, read the room, Adam. Like, come on, it's the deadline. Wait till 3:30 to send that out.
Vikings trying to steal everybody's thunder here. Right,
guys, if you haven't already, drop a like on the video. We'd really appreciate it. And subscribe. We're on this Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, Flyers grind all day. So others.
Who would love more, Norvell Pell or Tony Bradley? Because there's the outcry for Tony Bradley.
That's a different fan group. That's two very different fan groups. So if you're talking like people who really watch from down under of the Sixers, Norvell Pell. But if you're just talking about the general NBA fan who's been seeing what what?
Choose your words carefully, Mark.
No, Matt. I'm Matt McGinty over here in the chat.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like waving at like Norvell Pell. Like that's my guy.
I like Norvell Pell.
Hawks are trading Rajon Rondo to the Clippers for Lou Williams. Official.
I don't like that for either team.
Official.
I don't know why you need Lou Williams if you have Trae Young, and I don't know why anyone needs Rajon Rondo. So I don't really like that.
Yeah, the Kyle Lowry fans are coming out. They're
Visa
coming out like weeds.
Visa up, McGinty.
Yeah, man. Glad we kept Maxing on the guy who hasn't played in 3 months.
Listen, I can understand that. I can understand George Hill. Yes, he's been out, but like realistically, it was just reported that he got his cast off recently. He's working his way back. It's not like he got an injury that's like old man injury. Like he got a wrist injury. It's not like he got like a I don't know, like a durability issue.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
He's 3 years younger than the guy Matt McGinty really wants to trade for. So, I mean, the fact that he's this dead set on one guy, it's just like.
So George Hill's 30. George Hill's 34, turning 35.
Oh, I thought he was 32.
On May 4th. I want to see what.
Pablo says George Hill is a very good player, but he's 35. He's been injured a lot lately. He hasn't played.
Yes, but would you rather go and trade for a 1-year guy with a bunch of trading only role players away, and not even role players, reserve players away for a guy on a 1-year deal, then trade your Tyrese Maxey, your Matisse Thybulle, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks for a guy.
And he's got a partial guarantee next year. He's got a partial guarantee. So that even gives you more flexibility.
So I'm trying to figure out his injury situation right now.
He had a fractured.
It was a
thumb.
hand.
Yeah,
it was something with his hand, but I don't remember what it was exactly.
I believe it was he hurt his thumb on his shooting hand and has been out. So it's not even related. But his last game was January 24th. He put up 22 points in 28 minutes. In the month of January, there he was shooting 36.4% from three, averaging 11.1 points a game. Solid free throw shooter there. But like we said, the catch and shoot numbers I think are more indicative of what you want. We have Rico asking what one you wanted, Mark. Kyle Lowry or George Hill? Did he freeze? He's frozen.
I'll give my opinion with that. Like, I didn't necessarily sit there and want a specific guy. I just didn't want the Sixers to oversell, like to get overpriced basically on a guy that realistically they can still be good and contend without having to do that. Like with you don't have to give up Tyrese Maxey and like specifically Matisse Thybulle and Tyrese Maxey to go out and grab like to get what you need in Kyle Lowry. Like you don't need that. Like you can get out of what Kyle Lowry would give you from a guy like George Hill, in my opinion. Obviously not as much. Don't get me wrong. Kyle Lowry is better than George Hill. But George Hill still gives you similar things that Kyle Lowry would give you with how this team is built up. Realistically, the team is built up from the big man up. It's not built from the point guard and big man. Like that, if that makes sense. It's not like our team is built around pick and rolls. Our team is built around post play. And what you need around post play is good cutters and good shooters. And George Hill brings in that versatility. Yep. I need to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back.
Yep. TCTV says, just showing my fellow Philly content creators some love. Buddy Hield to the Sixers. We'll see. But thank you, man, for giving us that donation. You're the man. If you have any questions, shoot them out here. We'll make sure to get that there. So Matt McGinty says, we win the same amount of playoff games 2 hours ago as we do now. This team's not done yet, man. This team's not done yet. They're going to keep adding. I don't think this is the end of Daryl Morey and his first year here in Philadelphia. We have what's up, Golden State wanting Danny Green. I have not seen that yet. Justin's gone. He's been our trade guy here. So we'll see. If Danny Green goes, fine. If he stays, I'm fine too. I think Danny Green's an underrated player for the Sixers. Perfect compliment. You look at his 3-point attempts. He's getting it done from 3-point range this season. He's not the defensive guy that you wanted to see back in his days in Toronto and all that. But man, Danny Green is just a great fit. He's not going to be this guy that's going to give you 20 points, but at least he's going to be a good fit for what you need around Ben and Joel. Big Mech says, what are the Sixers going to do for a center? That is a
Can I go off that?
Go for it, man.
I tweeted this out, so go check out my Twitter, Big Mech, at J_Persichetti. Right there, you can see it. Oh, right there, you can see it right there. I tweeted this out. I could really see DeMarcus Cousins. And here, I'll show you right now. 1 second. I got to put it up on the screen. Where is it? Bum, bum, bum. Right there. Okay. So DeMarcus Cousins is obviously he's a center that's on the free agent market right now, and you wouldn't have to give up anything for him. DeMarcus Cousins also stretches the floor in minutes where you have Ben and Matisse on the floor at the same time. To me, could be a perfect match here. LaMarcus Aldridge, you still need to trade for. You would still need to make moves to go get him and give up some stuff. DeMarcus Cousins brings you floor stretching ability, brings you post play if you need it. A consistent guy, like he does a lot for you on both ends of the floor. And I understand understand the problem of like health as of late. Obviously, that's something you'd be concerned about. But He's not a guy who would be playing big minutes for this team. He'd probably mostly be playing minutes, like I said, with when you have a lineup out there like Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle, and you need another shooter out on the court. I just think that would be a perfect matchup there. Imagine a lineup going out of Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle. You have Ben at the 4, Demarcus at the 5, Matisse at the 3, and then you put out a Furkan and a Shake, or a Seth Curry and a Shake. Like, put out 2 other shooters out there. Ben Simmons goes to town on the defense right there, and you cannot leave DeMarcus Cousins open. He's a great three-point shooter, and he showed that even more this year when he was healthy. So, to me, that's the best move you could do with the centers at this point. Yeah.
I'm going to highlight this. We have a fan, an OKC fan joining, says, is Tony Bradley good? I'm a Thunder fan. Man, this guy's definitely beloved in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah.
He's had a really strong stretch lately here for the Sixers. You look at him defensively last 15 games or so, holding opponents to 40% from the field. So he's actually been pretty strong defensively, and he's really been just effective offensively. 82 effective field goal percentage over the last 15 games here. So he's been getting it done. He's a guy that has like a small minority of Sixers fans that really have it out for him. They love him to death. So it's been really interesting. There is definitely a Tony fan base in Philadelphia. A lot of, mainly my co-host for Party on Broad loves Tony Bradley. He's also a UNC fan, so it's connected. There's connective tissue there. And Mark is pointing
here's
Tony Bradley.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big Tony Bradley guy. But the
here's
main thing
Tony
I wanted,
Bradley numbers.
real quick, the main thing I wanted to say about that OKC fan comment, you got some bright years ahead of you. I had fun in the process years. The OKC's next couple of years are going to be fun. You already got a superstar in Shea in SGA, and then you're going to hopefully have another high pick this year, and you have like 17 first-round picks over the next 7 years. So Tony Bradley is not all that important to the future for the Thunder, but if he can continue to contribute like he has, maybe you can flip him in the offseason for another pick.
So real quick here for the OKC fan, here is the picks and the game logs for the past few games since Joel has been out and since he's stepped in. Lots of good play. 8 for 8 last time he played on Tuesday night. 18 points, 11 rebounds. That's a career high for him with 2 blocks and 2 steals. 2 games before that, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Like he's definitely shown that he can be efficient around the rim and can play decent defense on guys that are similar size to him. Went up against James Wiseman and did a really good job. Went up against Mitchell Robinson and didn't score as much, but played good defense and played good positional game against him. Sacramento played really well. Same with Milwaukee. Just in general, a lot of good play from him. So I think, although he's not a guy that you're going to sit there and be like, oh, he's going to be a needle mover, he is exciting to watch, and I think could really be a really good backup on a team.
Yeah. Yep. Here's that Sacramento game. I'll show you, dude.
I have a couple.
The Heat and Rockets are discussing a Victor Oladipo trade.
Yeah. That's
Tony Bradley had one of his best games against the Sacramento Kings. Just to show you, piggyback off of like what we're saying, this guy definitely has a huge fan base here in Philadelphia. He had a highest net against the Kings. He held opponents 6 of 15 from the floor. Rashawn Holmes is not – I mean, that guy looked terrible in that game. But he did play good defense against Rashawn Holmes, forced 3 turnovers. And there's my boy, Philly_Madness. Loves him some Tony Bradley. So he's been getting a lot of love, and justifiably so. He's definitely earned it.
Yeah, there's just another report that the Heat are not interested in including Tyler Hero in a Kyle Lowry trade package. That shouldn't surprise anybody.
I think the NBA, just real quick, Matt McGinty is all upset because we didn't trade for Kyle Lowry. And he's saying, and there's people in here saying Daryl Morey is flopping as a GM. He's only made one lackluster trade. He traded Josh Richardson for Seth Curry in the offseason. He traded Al Horford for Danny Green. Those have both been A+ trades.
He is. And
And then also
the chains keep moving like back
exactly.
and like no Sixers fans in their right mind thought they would be the top team in the Eastern Conference at this point at the trade deadline. Get the frick out of here if you thought that. And now Daryl Morey's flopping, and the Sixers are the best in the East. Come on, guys.
Matt also just said on the Daily Dose the other day that second-round picks don't matter and that Tony Bradley won't be playing in the playoffs. But it's an outrage that we traded all this for George Hill, right? And then didn't give up Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, 2 first-round picks, and Danny Green for Kyle Lowry. Whatever. That's all I'm saying. It's just people want to be angry sometimes, I think.
Get your ass out here, man. Show your face right now. Let's go.
I want to stay quick to what Mac just said. Give me LaMarcus Aldridge buyout or give me death. I think LaMarcus Aldridge, although would fit good with this roster when it comes to the stretch role they want to have with Ben Simmons on the court, I think you can pay a lot less and bring in Demarcus Cousins. We've been talking about that. I said it a few times, and I'll circle back to it if I see a comment like this again. If you can bring the free agent and Demarcus Cousins onto this team, now that there's center, like think about it this way: we're a contending team that now has center minutes available. Think about that. Like the center minutes are available; they're there, especially in the role where Demarcus Cousins is best at, and that is the pick and pops, the post moves. Like you have that available now, so it could be attractive for him to go there. Before, the only teams that in the Eastern Conference to me that were attractive for DeMarcus Cousins were teams like Boston, who doesn't have a big man, who we'd probably end up starting with. Teams like I'm trying to think of the teams now. All of a sudden, the Raptors, teams maybe the Heat. But like realistically, he would get the chance to play with the best big man in the league right now, and only have to go on offense pretty much because you have Dwight Howard there as well. Like I think that makes it so attractive for DeMarcus Cousins.
Yep. We have this comment from Ike.O. The Sixers aren't good enough with this roster. The Sixers don't take and make enough threes and go on too many scoring droughts that better teams will take advantage of this postseason. Any thoughts on that, guys?
So,
sure.
Sorry, go ahead. You go first.
Sure. Yeah, it could be a problem that we don't take any more threes. I would love to see Seth Curry take some more threes. I would love to see a lot of players on the team, Shake Milton, take more threes if he can do it efficiently. But I don't know what the answer is to how you fix that in terms of right now at the deadline. If that person is trying to say, let's trade for, a Kyle Lowry, you're trading people who shoot for Kyle Lowry already. So no matter what it is, there's positives and negatives to every move. I do think George Hill, theoretically, you traded no shooting and no scoring for someone who is great catch and shoot. So I think that we're trying to fix that a little bit, but there's, Bradley Beal you can't trade for free. You're not going to trade for Steph Curry for free. So it's like these. I just think people need to understand.
Steph Curry?
Steph Curry. I just think people need to understand. I'm making a joke. I think people need to understand expectations. George Hill, we traded 2 second-round picks and Tony Bradley for. We didn't mortgage the future. I don't care if it's too much of a needle mover for you. Daryl Morey's trying to make the best moves, given the team we have, to make the best value that we can get out of a trade. If that's not getting Kyle Lowry or that's getting George Hill, that's the way he saw to fix the take and make enough threes problem.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments we should? Someone says, how do you feel about getting Oladipo to the Sixers? Any thoughts on that, guys?
So I will say I do like Oladipo. Like I like his game. I loved him when he was on the Pacers. I think he's the guy that when we first traded for Josh Richardson, I would have rather had the Victor Oladipo experiment there instead of the Josh Richardson experiment there, because Victor Oladipo is that shot maker. Before Joel Embiid really showed how he could be in the clutch and how he can just dominate a team, that's a guy that I was interested in getting because of his shot creating ability, because of his good defense. But now that we've seen and really we've known this for a while, but now that you see what the best fit is around Joel, and that is Joel and Ben really, and that is just great 3-point shooters at the guard spots. That's what you need. You don't need a Victor Oladipo. You'd rather even have Kyle Lowry over Victor Oladipo because of the 3-point shot creation that Lowry gives you rather than Oladipo gives you. Oladipo's more of a driver and a mid-range guy, can hit 3-pointers, don't get me wrong, just isn't what you need there. To me, that ends up in he's a better Josh Richardson to me. He ends up in a situation where you don't have as much spacing as you'd like. Again.
Yeah, I think Oladipo is someone who I'd be worried about with some regression in terms of injuries and becoming not the same player. You can already see it this year. The stats are a little misleading, I think. He left Indiana and they immediately started playing better. He went to Houston. They immediately started losing a lot of games. And I think that you can just see in the way he plays that he's not quite the same athlete. And I do think his shooting is a little bit down as well. So I just think Oladipo is someone who's gunning for a contract and who's someone who probably considers himself to be a bit of a star. And I think if you brought him in, you'd be bringing him in as a complimentary guy. And I'm out on Kyle Lowry. I'd rather Kyle Lowry than Oladipo.
Ziggy says, we're first in the East, yet people are still saying we're not good enough. Shake my head. Laughable. Fully agree, man. That's been the case all season long.
And you got to think about it this way. The moves that are being made now are to make them marginally better. It's to, like, the George Hill move is to shore up your bench a little bit more in getting a legitimate playmaker and a legitimate backup point guard. Shake, realistically, has kind of been an experiment this year, and we all knew that coming in. Like, he hasn't been a starting or bench point guard in the NBA till this season, realistically. So it's not that an experiment failed. It's just that you'd rather bring in a legitimate, proven backup point guard for this playoff run. So I just think you really can't go wrong with the moves that have been made. This is interesting here. Who Boogie Cousins, LOL, or what was it? What? I'm confused. Just a number because we were getting another center. What's the just a number at?
I have no idea.
But there is just a report. I don't know if this guy's it's in our Discord, but the trade offers for Kyle Lowry have been underwhelming, and the Raptors are comfortable keeping Lowry past the trade deadline. I think all the people that are upset about not trading for Kyle Lowry should take a look at what the NBA is telling you about Kyle Lowry. They should take a look at what the trade market is telling you he's worth. And it's not Tyler Hero, it's not Duncan Robinson, and apparently Miami's not fully willing to give up Nunn and Achua. And the Lakers aren't. I know we like Taylor Horton-Tucker. I agree with what Justin said earlier. Per 36, he's still someone who doesn't shoot threes and averages like 15, 5, and 5 per 36. He's playing like 15 minutes per game. So I think the Lakers not willing to part with Taylor Horton-Tucker, the Heat not willing to part with any meaningful asset, and us not willing to part with assets when they're being asked for 4 first-round picks, basically. I think the NBA is showing you what Kyle Lowry's value is, regardless of what you may think it is.
I want to touch on this. We have 10 minutes, guys. 10 minutes to the end of the NBA trade deadline. Time to bring back J.J. Redick. I think that's going to be a big name here discussed. Whether he gets, I don't know what happens moving forward, but you look at his stats, 8.7 points a game here. He's shooting 36.4% from 3 on 4.5 attempts. He is shooting nearly 40% from 3 in the catch and shoot. Guys, would you welcome back J.J. Redick if he was like in the buyout market, something like that?
Yeah, I think J.J. Redick is a guy that to me would only be buyout. You're not trading for J.J. He's definitely a buyout candidate. Not definitely a buyout candidate, but definitely a guy I would buy out rather than trade for. I think he fits with this team. He really does. Like, he fits in the offense and how we have a lot of running around picks and running gun kind of offense that Ben Simmons that we run when Ben Simmons is on the floor. I think he fits well. I don't want to trade for him. That'd be a buyout guy. I do like this. Was hoping we grabbed Ellington, but looks like we traded picks already. To me, you could still grab Ellington here. I would love if. Yeah. To be honest, I would love the Ellington move more. If I'm real, Ellington is a lot cheaper, and he's legit. Ellington to me is exactly what this team kind of needs.
I really like Ellington. I really liked Wayne Ellington. 41.2% from the catch and shoot on 119 attempts. Love to see that from the field. 115 attempts in the catch and shoot from three. 40.9%. Clutch stats aren't very good. But this guy's signed to the veterans minimum. And yeah, 6.3 attempts per game from three-point range. You want the Sixers to shoot more threes. Wayne Ellington would be a solid piece on the Sixers bench. I would love Wayne Ellington.
Mark Stein just said we're still in on Lowry, basically.
Woo! Okay, guys, hold on. Guys.
If you want to see my soul, if you want to see my soul leave my body, it's gonna happen in the next 8 minutes if they trade for Kyle Lowry on the stream.
So the exact quote, for that was after the 76ers acquired George Hill, one source close to Kyle Lowry talks said it was too strong to rule them all the way out of the Lowry chase, saying only that Philly's chances had lessened. So, like you said, there is still a chance that Sixers could acquire Lowry. It's just not extremely likely at this point.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen personally, because the only way it happens is if they go like a lot cheaper on the deal.
I might have to stand up and start watching the clock at 2:57, like I would watch the last 2 minutes of an Eagles game.
No.
Toronto is trading guard Terrence Davis to Sacramento.
How dare you lead it off like that?
It's true. God. Toronto is trading guard Terrence Davis to Sacramento for a future second-round pick. That's another roster move. That's another roster spot that creates another roster spot. Creates another one. So, if Kyle Lowry is being traded, they do have to create roster spots, because any team that's going to get him is going to need to give them multiple players to make the trade work. So
6 minutes.
It's
oh my god,
Mark is sweating, man.
No, I sweat every podcast. This podcast is ridiculous. I am legitimately in like a full, like, this feels like I had like $100 on the line on a game coming down to the last 2 minutes. I do not want to root for Kyle Lowry on my favorite team. I just, oh my god.
Guys, if you have not already, like the video, please subscribe if you're not.
Also, Faithful Fanatics at 4:00. We'll be recapping the Sixers trade deadline, and then the Daily Dose at 7:30 with 97.5 the Fanatics and Sixers outsider Tyrone Johnson will be joining Matt McGinty, Dylan Davis, and my man Scotty at 7:30 live here. Ask questions to Tyrone Johnson, one of the best Sixers minds. Period. You can't miss that.
You can't miss that opportunity, man. They have a live chat going on with that. I'm sure they'll be clicking on chats and talking about what you guys are saying. So definitely go join at 7:30 to talk to Tyrone Johnson with Dylan on his Daily Dose show. And if you haven't liked the video, guys, we got 100 some people in this. Please like the video. And if you are not subscribed, we bring consistent Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, everything Philly content and more. So you'll love it to be here. And also we got Mark down here who gives you all your winning bets. So make sure you're sticking around.
It says Lowry is too expensive. Dude wants a huge extension. No way. Don't get Kyle Lowry, get Boogie and Ellington. Take that, Tyler Johnson. A lot of, man, is this divisive or what? People are like all in on Kyle Lowry or all out. It's either, sell it for Kyle Lowry, go all in right now, or build the bench with guys like Wayne Ellington and Boogie. Justin, me and you have been on the build the bench. Bring shooters in around Ben, Joel, and Tobias and watch these guys thrive. Not Kyle Lowry. But, man, this is Kyle Lowry's trade value.
And realistically, his trade value has been that low for the whole time, in my opinion. There's a reason that he's been on this team up to the trade deadline. Other teams would have traded for him weeks ago if they didn't value him so high. To be honest with you, that's what it is. And also semi, whatever you want to call it. What was it? I just accidentally clicked off it. This doesn't scare me as much if they did end up trading for Kyle Lowry for a. Hold
JJ
on.
Redick to the Mavs.
Yep.
To the Mavs?
The New
Mavs.
Orleans Pelicans are close on a deal to send JJ Redick to Dallas Mavericks. It's close on a deal as of right now. Close.
We replaced the hole that JJ Redick left with Seth Curry, and Dallas is going to replace the hole that Seth Curry left with JJ Redick. It's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
Wow.
I will say that is a good ad for the Pelicans, though, and Josh Richardson. If you want to call him a defensive player, that is a good move for them because the Pelicans' defense is just god awful. So
Lonzo staying in New Orleans.
Seth Curry is better.
I agree.
We're coming down to the wire here, everybody. Coming down to the wire. JJ Redick is most likely going to be traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Not sure for who, obviously, at this point, but it's going. No Lonzo trade per Woj. I saw that, Brandon. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm not surprised by that, to be honest with you. With the move the Clippers did for bringing in Rondo, I think that was the difference there. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
All right, let's see where
because the Clippers were one of the teams that were seriously in talks with that.
I never really understood why the Pelicans wanted to trade Lonzo personally.
It's I don't know. Hold on.
I'm going to look at
2 minutes. We got 2 minutes.
Per the poll, how would you grade the George Hill trade to the Sixers? 55% give it a B, 18% give it an A, 17% give it a C. I thought it would be a little more A's, to be honest. I'm a little shocked it's a little lower. We all kind of are in that same boat, B plus to A minus range. But there you go, guys. Overall, I'm happy with George Hill, but I need more. We need that stretch big, guys. Where's that stretch big at?
I think that stretch big is going to come in buyouts at this point. That is going to happen at some point. I do like this is what Diverse said. Paul Reed, time to shine. I think in the time that they're figuring that out, it is a good possibility that Paul Reed will be coming in to give you those backup minutes. I wouldn't surprise me at all. I do think I'm going to say it one more time. I really do think there is a strong possibility that we see Demarcus Cousins on this team. Those backup center minutes are open. Demarcus Cousins is a free agent. I think that move would not surprise me whatsoever.
I have to throw this in there. This is unrelated. My girlfriend is a teacher, and she teaches high schoolers, and one of them is currently watching us. And she walked by. She walked by and saw the stream, and I thought that was
that's
funny.
Hilarious,
dude. You're
3 o'clock. It is 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, guys. We did it. It's officially 3 o'clock.
There is sometimes where it leaks out a little after, though.
Yeah,
definitely.
Totally. So Ziggy says, love Hill. I think it's a B because we lost a big. Tony Bradley is expendable, man. But if we replace him with Boogie, I would be cool. Semi says, we do not need Boogie LaMarcus. They are minus defenders. Not wrong there.
We're not talking about. See, here's the thing, though. Once again, with Boogie Semi, you're not talking about defense. You're talking like the main addition there is to help in the minutes with Ben and Matisse on the floor. Right now with Ben, Matisse, and Dwight Howard on the floor, it's not great offensively. If you were to bring in a guy like Boogie, that spacing is just ridiculously better at that point. And it gives you the opportunity and the flexibility to have two of the best defenders in the league in Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons on the floor at the same time and still have enough spacing.
Yep. All right, guys. Diverse says Embiid is going to call Boogie. I need more. Oh my God.
Embiid is going to call Boogie. Listen, Maury did Steven, I understand you're a troll, but listen, Embiid, my goodness. Maury did everything he's supposed to do at this time. He didn't sacrifice chemistry. He didn't sacrifice he only gave up people that were reserves and that honestly did not see the floor unless you had an injury. And like I said, Dallas has acquired New Orleans JJ Redick. Mavericks also acquired Trey Lyles from the Spurs in a multi-team deal. So that deal is going to come out. Obviously, I doubt the Sixers are involved in that, but there's a possibility still. So let's chill for a second. because they did say multi-team deal.
All right.
Hold on.
What's going on here, man? I don't understand the hate. I don't understand the hate at all. Semi says, what about chemistry, man? This team is nearly a top 10 team in offensive efficiency. They're number 2 in defensive efficiency. They don't even account for this team how many games not having a full roster. I'm good, man. You add a guy like George Hill. I agree. They need bench support. They still need to add. Go ahead, Justin.
Cavs and Andre Drummond will be working out a buyout agreement.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the rumors earlier this week was that he was going to have his pick between the Nets and the Lakers.
Yeah, I think the Nets make the most sense for him.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, I still don't think that raises their chances against going up against Sixers. I mean, it's another body. It's another body,
Yeah,
but
he's barbecue chicken.
Yes, sir. So ultimately, for right now, for what you were saying about chemistry, real quick, I don't think chemistry is the issue. I think also I don't think that's like I don't think chemistry is going to be an issue with George Hill. George Hill's a plug and play kind of guy. He's a vet. He's been on multiple teams. He's been in multiple different situations. I don't think you have to worry about that. I do think now that JJ Redick is off the board, I think it's even more likely that Sixers end up with Wayne Ellington and a buyout type deal. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the move at this point, unless Morey is now in the thought that Korkmaz is going to be that guy here. The Bulls are close to a deal to send Mo Wagner to the Celtics for Daniel Tice.
Okay.
According to Legion Hoops.
That's good. That's good for the Celtics.
How many
tweets tomorrow for Danny Ainge was this close to trading for pretty much everybody that was traded today? How many? Yeah. Like over under like 3.5.
I think it'll be Lonzo Ball will be the first one. He was this close to Lonzo Ball.
Yep.
Guys, if you have not already, drop a like, please. Drop a like and subscribe. We got all this content going for you all the time. And later today at 7:30, is it? You said is
7:30.
7:30. We got Dylan Davis and the Daily Dose show with Matt McGinty and Scott, I believe, as well as going to be. Or Scotty's going to be on there, and Tyrone Johnson, the 97.5 Sixers Outsiders guy. You don't want to miss that. Trade deadline day, getting Tyrone Johnson's opinions and thoughts on everything, plus our own. So definitely go check that out. Subscribe, turn on the post notifications to let you know when they go live.
I'm excited for. I'm going to be doing a dueling Eagles mock draft with Jamie Lynch tomorrow. I'm going to take him down, and I'm very excited for that one. So what we do is we both have our own mock drafts, and then we're going to throw it to Twitter and see who had the better mock.
I think Jamie has a little bit more following than you. I think Jamie might win that one.
You think so?
I think he might get you on that
one. All right,
Stephen Green. I think you're just a hater, bro. I'm sorry, man. There's no flop here. This is one of the better case scenarios. And to me, the only reason Morey would feel comfortable giving up 2 backup centers is if he knows he's got a guy coming. Like realistically, think about it that way. The only reason Morey is comfortable giving up his two reserve centers is if he knows he has someone else coming. There's no way he only keeps, with Joel's injury history, there is no way he only keeps a 30, however old, Dwight Howard backup there. The Hornets are acquiring Golden State's Brad Wanamaker, sources tell Shams. So yeah, understand that. Like, no way Morey gives up those guys and doesn't have a guy coming. It's just not a thing. It doesn't make sense.
Awesome.
For tonight, Paul Reed's going to play though. Without Tony Bradley, Paul Reed's definitely going to have to play.
Definitely, Paul Reed. You will see Paul Reed getting some backup center minutes today for sure.
There's nothing more that I hate than late Thursday night games, because you know what that means. I can't watch. I gotta wait. I wake up at 4 a.m. at the crack ass of dawn, and I write my reviews on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I can't miss that. I can't miss that. It's priorities. So as much as I love the Sixers, I'm a Marvel and DC fan at heart, and I love writing my reviews on that shit. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay up, but I'm going to watch it in the morning for sure.
Oh, I will definitely be watching it in the morning or tonight. I mean.
Yeah, I got the Red Bull going to try to keep me going.
So I have a question for you guys. With Mike Scott still right now looking to be that backup 4, what are your guys' thoughts?
Ugh, brutal.
Not great. Yeah.
Brutal. I mean, is anybody watching the game and you're watching Mike Scott still on the court? It makes no sense. I mean, it is a waste of a roster spot. That has been kind of like the Achilles heel of the Sixers from the jump. They had to bring in another stretch big, and Mike Scott is not it. He is not. Even though, like, at the start of the season, we were like, maybe he looks a little more confidence under Doc Rivers. No, he's cooked. Mike Scott's cooked. This is an area that they have to upgrade. They have to upgrade this spot, and we haven't seen it yet today. I'm excited to see what we got with Paul Reed moving forward. I'm not sure he's ready, though. I'm a little concerned about that. I'll definitely be excited to see him with more PT tonight. But Mike Scott, man, you got to go. Sorry, Hive. You're out.
Mark, you got any thoughts?
No, yeah. I mean, I just think I think anyone. I don't think it's hard to find someone to do better in those minutes than Mike Scott. I think whether that be on the buyout market or whether that be a free agent or Paul Reed or whatever it be, I think there's plenty of ways that we have to take those Mike Scott minutes. And I do think Boogie coming in.
Woj bomb.
Oladipo to Miami.
Oladipo is being traded to Miami.
All right. Miami got they're loading up here.
Victor Oladipo being traded to Miami. Now, I will say Victor Oladipo definitely isn't the same player he was before, but that is a significant add, being that they still have a lot of good, like, Miami's good, in my opinion, even though they're not, like, good technically record-wise right now. I do think they're better than their record is. So Houston is trading Victor Oladipo to Miami, sources tell ESPN. That, like, wow, I'm surprised. Like, it's not surprised. That's probably the secondary move that Miami wanted to do if they didn't get Lowry. In my opinion,
I don't even know. I think that Miami's been after Oladipo for a long time. There's been rumors that Oladipo wanted to sign in Miami in free agency. So for all we know, again, I think the NBA told us what Kyle Lowry's value is, and I think Miami might have preferred Victor Oladipo. I think that's wrong. I think Victor Oladipo is not a very good addition, in my opinion. Obviously, it matters what they gave up. If they gave up either of Robinson or Hero, I imagine they didn't. That would be a pretty massive failure. I think even giving up Nunn or Achua for Oladipo would be a mistake. But Oladipo does not make me any more afraid of Miami, personally.
Nasty Nizzle says, did Golden State clear a roster spot for Danny Green? Did we miss something?
Golden State, I mean, they did clear Wanamaker, but I will say it's at this point, if trades are – I'm gonna say I really don't think they want to give up Danny Green. So it would be surprising to me. Like, first of all, it's after 3:00, but also it would just be surprising to me in general if Danny Green was off this team and it wasn't for a guy like Kyle Lowry. I think at this point, the only way Danny Green was off this team is if Kyle Lowry was coming onto it, and that's it.
The Raptors are keeping Kyle Lowry, source tells ESPN. Let's go. You messed that one up, Masai. You really overplayed your game. You wanted 4 first-round picks in Danny Green. You got nothing, and he's leaving in 4 months. Good job, Toronto.
I actually don't know if he's leaving in 4 months, if I'm honest.
Well, then you're signing a 35-year-old to 3 more years. So, good job, Toronto. I could not be happier right now.
Matt McGinty, where are you, bro? Come on the show, dude. We need you. I want you to react to that.
He's going to be very upset. He is going to be very upset.
Everyone telling me how many suitors Kyle Lowry had, how many people we were bidding against. They couldn't get him to one team. They kept his ass. This is like sometimes sometimes it hurts to be right. It hurts to be this right here.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, Mark. I've been saying the
right.
same thing. I've been saying the same. The only way that deal was gonna happen is if they lowered their price on him, and that's just and it's simple as that.
Been saying that for months. So
Yep.
If you've been watching our watch party, that echoes exactly what we've been saying. Add shooters around Ben Simmons and watch this team thrive. That's been the target of our pretty much our top topics here over the last several months. So wow, Kyle Lowry got nothing.
And here's the other thing too. Is Kyle Lowry's not even being added to another contending team. So that is even a better outcome for the Sixers in the sense where
well said.
Yes, they didn't get them, but they also did. He also didn't go to somebody else like Miami or like Boston or wherever. He didn't go anywhere, which is exactly what you needed there.
Yeah, I was more afraid of Kyle Lowry going to Matisse Thybulle going to another Eastern Conference contender than Kyle Lowry. Like Matisse Thybulle on a team like Toronto or another team like that would just give me nightmares, man. Him locking up Ben in a playoff series, that would just be my nightmare. That would be my nightmare. But I'm glad to see Kyle Lowry get nothing. That's been the main topic of conversation in all our watch parties is, do you go all in now for Kyle Lowry, or do you wait to the summer and look for a better fit? So Daryl Morey is definitely choosing the latter. We'll see if there are better pieces to fit in this 3-year window that we are in. This is the first year, and the leaps that we've seen from Matisse, the leaps that we have seen from Ben, there's a lot of positives here. So I'm glad the Sixers, pump the brakes a little bit, have a big picture, and maybe look at the summer to add another piece.
And I think this is important. Magic said, "I can't wait to see George Hill make Shake a better player." I think you have to look at you have to look at this team in a lot of ways and look at the vets that are now on this team. Not only George Hill now being a very good vet, but Danny Green also. You have two guys that are going to be that literally have exact players right under them that fit their games very similarly. George Hill, Shake Milton, Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah. So what does this mean for Tyrese Maxey? I mean, do you expect Maxey to play at all the rest of the season?
Real quick, hold on. I think Tyrese Maxey will play. Sorry, one second. There was Sham just tweeted out the deal for Victor Oladipo. So Houston traded Victor Oladipo to Miami for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a draft swap. So, Kelly Olynyk kills the Sixers, so I'm not upset about that.
I don't care. I don't.
I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to see what exactly.
I'm not.
What exactly Miami's going to have now? Oh, yeah. Bye,
awesome.
Mark.
All right. So I like.
So what was your question?
Danny Green helps Matisse, and George Hill helps Milton. Yeah, there's going to be a trickle down effect here of these guys on that second unit. So that's what I'm excited about. Shake is really struggling. Now you have a guy, George Hill. He's not a bucket getter, but he's like a bucket getter light. And
George Hill?
Hey, look at his ISO numbers. Look at his ISO numbers. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I was about to say, because he when he played with the Bucks, he was literally one of the guys that was getting buckets for him down the stretch last year.
When I say bucket getter, he's not Harden or
yes,
but he's right there. But anyway, I'm glad they added George Hill. We're all very positive about the George Hill trade. Gave it a B+ to A- here for the Philadelphia 76ers. We're now just kind of awaiting the final remnants here of the trade deadline. Nothing happened other than that. Looks like Kyle Lowry is staying in Toronto, and we're kind of hoping that maybe the Sixers add another piece in that buyout market, especially a stretch big here moving forward. So anyway, that's where we're at. Should we shut it down?
Well, I was going to say Miami's considered front runners for Aldridge per Mark Stein. That's interesting. That's kind of interesting. Golden State has traded Marquise Chris to the Spurs.
Okay.
So things are still happening. I don't know if we want to shut it down just yet.
All
There's
right,
a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's going on still. I think
Ian saying he wants Demarcus Cousins right there, Justin.
Ian, I've been saying that for the past like hour and a half, literally. Like I tweeted out, if you haven't, go follow me on Twitter. Like I literally, like I said it, like if you get Cousins on this team, and realistically, I said this already, but I don't think Morey trades your two reserve centers away. Right now, the Sixers only have realistically two NBA centers on this lineup. They have Paul Reed as well, who's 6'9", so he's not really an NBA size center, but he did play center in the G League. Ultimately, two guys in the rotation right now, centers that in the rotation right now, in Embiid and Dwight Howard. I don't think Morey trades away Tony Bradley and Vincent Poirier if he doesn't think he's going to have another third guy coming into the buyout in the either free agent market or buyout market. And I think Cousins is definitely a good possibility. Cousins, you don't have to give up any assets for. He is a free agent, and he would get legitimate minutes on this team backing up Joel Embiid and Dwight Howard. He also has had injury history, which is obviously a concern, but wouldn't have to give up wouldn't have to play big minutes on this roster. Fits well on the court with Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle offensively. And won't have to be focused on defense as much because Dwight Howard's going to be that real defensive guy when Embiid is on the bench, I should say. So that's my thoughts on that. If you want to hear more thoughts, go check out my Twitter and go look for the tweet.
Is tonight the Paul Reed game? Is tonight the Paul Reed game, guys?
Bro, it better be the Paul Reed game.
That's a fun wrinkle for staying up late to watch. Something fun for Eagles Sixers fans out there that are both fans. One of my friends made a funny comparison there. He said George Hill is going to be our Jay Ajayi, that mid-season edition that doesn't put you over the top, but it just gets you a little bit
funny.
On the way to a title, on the way to a parade.
Neville, yes, George Hill is good. He is good.
Summary of our podcast: George Hill shoot good off catch. One
thing I did want to say as well is, where is that? Brandon said, I would like Cousins, but I'm not sure where he gets minutes if Embiid and Dwight are healthy. I promise you, if Demarcus Cousins is on this team, they're finding minutes for him. Like I said, he's a good shooter. He fits well offensively when you put Matisse and Ben on the floor at the same time. In lineups recently, if you have Matisse and Ben on the floor at the same time, the production has gone way down on the offensive end. When you then put Matisse and Ben on the floor, if you can put a center like Demarcus there who can stretch the floor, it works seamlessly a lot better.
Yep. We went over all the stats regarding George Hill. It is a very good fit for the Sixers. Contract-wise, you got him for a partial guarantee next year. It gives you flexibility heading into 2022. There's not a lot to not like, So George Hill, even though he's going to be 35 come playoff time, that's really the biggie. He's been fighting a hand injury, so he hasn't played much this season. You look at his stats defensively with the Bucks last year. The Bucks were the number one defensive efficiency team in 2020. And with George Hill on the court, they were 7.2 points better per 100 possessions with George Hill on the court. So I know he's older, years, different. It's a different year. But if you get that kind of impact from George Hill as a shooter, defensively, he's got a huge wingspan. This is a quick reactionary guy defensively. There's not a lot to not like. This was the guy I circled on my screen when we were. I did a post on Sixers trade targets. When you broke down the numbers, George Hill was the guy that stood out, just in terms of not giving up that many assets and what he brings to the Sixers. I think the value is there for sure. We got another donation. Inked says, thank you. Warriors and Sixers were
appreciate it, man.
A Danny Green trade. I'm personally, it's not over yet. It's not over yet, guys. But Danny Green is still in Philadelphia. Does that mean he's going to play tonight if he's not traded? Or what was the deal?
Danny Green?
Yeah, because it wasn't he ruled out already.
Yeah, I thought he was just questionable.
No, he wasn't ruled out. He just said he was questionable.
All right.
So yeah, he'll play tonight, most likely. Unless unless he was already on his way to like Miami or something. Like he was already flying to Florida, assuming the trade was going to happen, and now he's flying back.
God, the Tony Bradley love in the comments section has been wild. People love some Tony Bradley. Got to give it up for Tony Bradley, man, for being in Philly for what, like a few months and a cup of tea. This guy is like got his own fan base.
I do think that there's people out there who just are like me. It has less to do with liking Tony Bradley. It has more to do with hating Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard's a -14 on off. Tony Bradley was a +8.5. It's a 22.5 point difference. I'd rather have kept Tony Bradley and traded Dwight Howard a million times out of a million. But yeah, I would. If either name was in that deal, it wouldn't have changed. Like you do the deal.
The thought of a Boogie Cousins, Joel Embiid, Dwight Howard with the fans in the stadium, home court advantage, playoff game, that's going to be nuts. That is going to be absolutely electric. A lot of potential there. A lot of potential for a lot of fun W's for the Sixers for sure.
Yeah.
What we got?
It's just funny. Where is it at? So Mike Jacobs, one of the guys with the painted lines, said biggest chance to win an NBA title since 2001. You replaced Tony Bradley, who has been awesome with George Hill. Now your backup center is when Joel Embiid is out is Vincent Poirier. Unless they thrash the buyout market, this is a disaster. But he said that he said that 3 minutes ago, and then he just tweeted out. Now he said, "Oh, Poirier is traded. Now your backup is a two-way player. All due respect." Listen. If I know Brian's probably not listening, but I can promise you right now, and everybody who's watching, Daryl Morey is not trading away your two reserve centers and leaving you with an old Dwight Howard and a hurt Joel Embiid without having a plan on bringing in a center. He has a guy lined up. All right, I'm telling you right now, there's no way they're making that deal if they don't have a guy lined up coming in either the free agency or the buyout market. It just wouldn't make sense.
Right on.
So I'm telling you, I really, really do think you're going to see Demarcus Cousins on this team. I don't know when, but to me, that's the only thing that makes sense that I can think of at this very moment. So I'm put receipts right now. And I want, if it happens, I want everyone who's watching this to go follow me on Twitter.
Where's Lowry? His ass is staying in Toronto. That's where he's going. He had zero trade value as expected, and he is going nowhere. Semi says Joel Embiid will play 35 to 40 minutes in the playoffs. We need to cover 8 to 13 minutes. Mark, we went back and forth on this on Discord. Where are those minutes going to go with Dwight Howard? Do you add a stretch big and put that around Ben Simmons? It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I am not that low on Dwight Howard. You are definitely a anti-Dwight Howard. I've been in and out.
He is.
Am I wrong?
Not me.
I've been in and out on Dwight Howard all freaking season. I've hated him. I loved him. I hated him. When he's not fouling and when he's not just a wrecking ball with turnovers and fouls, he's okay. There are glimpses and flashes of Dwight Howard when he looks great, and I'm interested to see how the George Hill signing impacts this guy on the court. Move, shake off the ball a little more. Maybe we'll see a little more efficiency. We'll see.
So,
yeah, and I do want to say real quick. I just want to reiterate something. He says Cousins is trash right now. Cousins is not on a team right now, so I'm curious where you're seeing that. He also played really well for the Rockets when he was playing, so I'm a little confused as to how he's trash. And once again, I want to reiterate for anyone who's joined, and Marky's saying this right now. Justin Number says he's not that excited about it. But Marky says Cousins is a perfect for Ben. Completely agree. He is literally the perfect, like not perfect. Okay, I don't want to say perfect. He is an ideal piece to put at the 5 position with Ben and Matisse with a bench lineup pretty much. If you're running Ben with a bench lineup of a good defender, Matisse Thybulle, having a guy like Cousins to put in there instead of Dwight Howard is so much more valuable offensively. The offense has dropped off drastically when you have our best defenders in Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons on the floor with Dwight Howard. Just like when you have Joel on the floor with Ben, if you can have a Stretch and Demarcus Cousins on the floor there, it opens up your offense drastically. That is what I want to say about Demarcus Cousins. Go ahead again, Mark.
So going back to this comment, because this really bothers me. Embiid will play 35 to 40 minutes per game. We need to cover 8 to 13 minutes in critical playoff games at worst. So do you guys remember the Toronto series that we lost in Game 7 by a quadruple bounce? That was allowed by the fact that in that Toronto series, that's allowed by that exact mindset that led us to having Greg Monroe and Boban Marjanovic, who, by the way, had very similar on-off numbers to Dwight Howard in the regular season that year on a better team, or on a worse team. I mean, this year's a better team is what I'm trying to say. And in games, so those 2 games, 2 minutes, we were without Joel Embiid in Game 7 against the Raptors. We were -9 in those 2 minutes with Greg Monroe. In Game 4, Greg Monroe played 10 minutes. He was a -19 in a 5-point loss. Every point matters in the playoffs. These games are not 130 to 128 anymore. They're lower hundreds. Every point matters in the playoffs, and every minute is going to matter in the playoffs. So if Dwight Howard is putting up 92 offensive ratings with Ben Simmons, that's not going to get it done in the playoffs. But like Justin said, Demarcus Cousins would be such a huge addition because he can play with Ben Simmons. Dwight Howard is a good backup center in the NBA. He was great on the Lakers last year. That's a team with LeBron James, AD, and no matter what, 2 other shooters. That's the issue. When Ben Simmons is on the floor, it's impossible to play Dwight Howard because you can't have 2 people on the floor like that with the absolute inability to shoot.
And here's the thing as well with that. Last year, the Lakers had, like you said, shooting around Dwight Howard. What I'm saying in this, where was this at? Shogun says, Cousins, please. He has 2 flat tires. I understand that his injuries, yes, but he is still shot. He has still shown that he is a very, very good shooter for being a big man. And realistically, that's what you need. If he was to be on this team, what you're getting out of him is all offensive, not defensive. And defense is where you have to worry more about the injuries when it comes to being down low with big dudes. Dwight Howard is going to be that guy on the defensive end. It's going to be the same thing that Dwight was doing with the Lakers, where he was focused on rebounding and just lobs. Dwight's doing a lot more for the Sixers right now than he did last year with the Lakers offensively. If Boogie comes in here, he gives you more offensively than Dwight does right now. Simple as that. I'm not saying Dwight Howard's bad. I love Dwight Howard and what he's brought to this team. I'm just saying that specifically in the lineups with Ben and Matisse, that it would make this team significantly better in that way. And by the way, I do want to say this. Shams just said New Orleans sent JJ Redick and Nicola Melli to Dallas. Sources: Dallas sent James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, and a 2nd-round pick to New Orleans to acquire JJ and Nicola Melli. Mavericks also acquired 2 shooters to bolster their depth. Pelicans receive a gritty veteran forward and Johnson, young player and draft asset. So that is what that trade is right now for JJ Redick. Yeah.
All right. What do you guys want to talk about next? I mean, the Dwight Howard, I like what I saw from that guy in the playoffs. I know it's LeBron James. I know it's Anthony Davis. But you look at his per 36 minutes last year in the playoffs, 13 points. He had over 10 boards, almost 70% field goal percentage. I know they're totally different offenses. We'll see. I definitely am more out on Dwight. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. But I think Dwight does show a little bit of flash every now and then that he can add some sauce to the Sixers. But at the end of the day, spacing is everything. 100% Boogie over Dwight. It's not
Dwight's been mostly fine in the minutes where there's no Ben on the court. The problem is you're building your team around 2 players. and it's Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And if you sign a backup center to Joel Embiid who can't play with your other franchise player, it's just tough. It's just tough. Especially
when the roster's like in and out. Like when you have no Joel Embiid, no Tobias, no Ben. Like Dwight in that role is when you less Dwight is more. Let's just say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Tony Bradley was given the starting spot. It's as simple as that. Tony Bradley was given the starting spot because the way Dwight Howard plays, with the physicality that he plays with the amount of intensity he plays with on the court defensively and offensively, he has a good chance of getting in foul trouble in longer minutes. And that's why I'm saying they're going to add a center. It's going to happen. And that is why I think out of anybody, it would be Boogie. Because like what Tony Bradley was giving you a decent amount offensively.
Whoa.
What?
Hey-o.
Did it happen?
Hey-o.
I didn't see it. Are you? I think he's just saying, oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. There it is. All right.
Yep.
We've got so that happened. LaMarcus, go. You got it, Justin.
So that's another guy that I think is a good possibility because I don't necessarily think he comes to the Sixers because I think he's gonna be a starter somewhere. Mm-hmm. I think that's a guy that fits more with the Celtics, fits more with the Nets. Could fit with the Heat as well. That's
the rumor.
That is definitely a guy that is more of a starting caliber player. I think the only way you see him come to the Sixers, what is that noise?
I don't know.
I didn't hear it.
I think it's you then, bud.
That's probably true.
But I think the only way you see LaMarcus Aldridge come to the Sixers is if he's like, okay, at this point I want to win a championship, and it's just like, I want to come to a team where I'm going to get good backup minutes and get like, because he would, if you think about it, he would get good backup minutes. He could also give you some backup power forward minutes as well.
The problem with Aldridge is that this is a mid-range guy. Stats. 68% of his shots come between that 7 and 15-foot range. And we just got off talking about Dwight Howard and spacing. I don't think that's truly what the Sixers need. Would I be okay with it? Fine. If he wants to come to the Sixers, fine. But I mean, I think there are definitely let's get a true stretch big here in Philadelphia.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think I don't think he comes. I don't like. That's why I said I think it's a possibility, but I doubt it. I think you have a better chance about getting a guy like Demarcus. And honestly, I'd rather team chemistry wise, role wise, rather bring in a guy like Demarcus. Also, Cousins gives you that spunk. If I don't know, it's like that like I'm a beat your ass kind of thing. Like he gives you that vibe as well, and I think that'll add to the team chemistry and add to the locker room.
There was a comment on here that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Someone
said it's tough to look at Dwight's PER when he's playing primarily backup minutes, in my opinion. I didn't look at PER. I was looking at on-off. But the problem is, look at the other backups on-off minutes, and none of them are that steep of a drop-off, even without Joel Embiid on the court, as Dwight. But, again, I don't even hate Dwight Howard. I like the signing when they made it. But it forces you into a situation where you have to run hockey shift with Ben and Joel together pretty much every minute they play. And in the playoffs, you would like to stagger them a little bit.
All right, guys, we shut it down.
I don't know, bro. There's a lot happening. I think
I'm gonna hang it up a little bit. I just worked all day. I'm tired. All right.
What are you doing, Mark?
I'm sorry, I missed what Dive said.
Are you willing to stay on? Because I'll keep leading it if you want to stay on longer.
Yeah, sure. If you want to stay on for another 10, 15.
I got you.
All right. FYI, Faithful Fanatics at 4:00.
Got you. Thank you.
Later, guys.
Guys, there's still things happening. That is why I want to keep this rolling. There's still things going on, still reports coming out, and I want us to be here with you all to update you and give you our live reactions on what we're thinking today. With the latest in in LaMarcus Aldridge finalizing a contract buyout with the Spurs. What, like, I know we were saying obviously that LaMarcus is a mid-range guy, and like, does he fit necessarily with what we're trying to do? Does it scare you though that he could possibly go to Brooklyn or go to the Nets, or go to the Celtics?
Boston, no. Miami, to a lesser degree, no. Brooklyn, it could be a little scary in terms of him going to Brooklyn. I'm not sure really how Aldridge would guard Joel Embiid. I feel like he played the 4 most of the time that he was in San Antonio, and we would match up. He probably wouldn't have been guarding Joel Embiid. It was most of the time probably would have been like Pirtle. So I'm not sure if he's the guy that they add who's a Joel stopper or anything like that. But Drummond is someone I'm a lot less worried about than LaMarcus personally. LaMarcus Aldridge is someone. Another team that I thought of that could use him is Golden State. I could definitely see Golden State picking up LaMarcus. They just have a lot of big minutes, whether that be at the 4 or the 5, that they could give to him.
Yeah. Is the Teague thing true? You see that Jeff Teague traded?
Yeah, I see that in the chat.
Do you see that anywhere? Because I'm not seeing that.
No, it's not Woj Stein.
Oh, whoa. Houston Rockets and John Wall are oh, never mind. Oh my goodness. I thought it said Houston Rockets and John Wall are discussing a buyout. It says are not discussing a buyout.
Yeah, he's got like 3 more years, doesn't he?
I'm not sure. That would be ridiculous though.
He's got a long way.
Ian said that he was traded and then waived. I didn't see that anywhere.
Wow. So with the James Harden trade now, seeing that they traded Oladipo for what they traded him for, the Rockets pretty much traded James Harden for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, Dante Exum, Rodions Kurucs, and then a bunch of picks. It's not overwhelming for James Harden when you could have had Ben Simmons straight up. I mean, yikes. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, those draft picks have to pan out realistically for them. If they don't, that just sucks for them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, so LaMarcus Aldridge and Andre Drummond are now free agents. Those are 2 big men that not necessarily are going to like you said, they're not Joel stoppers, but they're 2 legitimately good big men. So it's like, to me, if Brooklyn were to get their hands on either of them, that kind of, it doesn't scare me in the sense of them being able to, like I said, stop Joel, but it definitely still makes you worry a little bit in that sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I actually think that Nick Claxton is someone who's stepped up for Brooklyn, and
yeah,
he's someone that if I was a Brooklyn fan, I'd probably want to see Nick Claxton out there more than I want to see a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge getting a ton of minutes and Blake Griffin getting a ton of minutes. But neither of them really scare me. Brooklyn's going to be what Brooklyn's going to be. It's not going to come down to Andre Drummond and LaMarcus Aldridge. It's going to come down to if Kyrie, Harden, and KD can all stay healthy and can all play good enough defense to outscore they're going to score 130 points, I'm sure. But it's just going to come down to the big 3. And obviously, James Harden's had his playoff struggles in the past. That's probably a little different with Kevin Durant and Kyrie on the team. But I just think, to a certain degree, Brooklyn, the moves are only going to affect them so much. It seems like they kind of are what they are, which is really good, by the way, but they haven't played together too much. I do think that they're the favorite rightfully to win the East, but I think that we definitely have the chance to compete with Brooklyn, even if Matt McGinty, even though he was saying we did yesterday, he's saying, glad we kept Maxey Man, 2029 Finals MVP. But it's just excellent trolling. But I am extremely optimistic going forward in the playoffs against the Bucks and the Nets, and that hasn't changed from yesterday.
Yeah. By the way, Jabari Parker and the Kings are discussing a buyout. That could be an interesting power forward for the Sixers to pick up right there. Jabari Parker. I got to look up his percentages.
Yeah, I was just doing the same thing.
Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Jabari Parker. Ultimately though, like with this trade deadline so far, from what we're hearing, what are your thoughts? Like, do you have like anybody? Semi said Jabari is still in the league? Question mark.
Yeah.
I think there's. I'm pretty optimistic about what has happened so far with this deadline and everything and how the Sixers have positioned themselves. I like the fact that what you gave up is not going to kill your future, but also not going to kill you for what you want to do this year too. They still have the $8 million trade exception. They're the mid-level exception, I should say. They still have that. They still have a very good chance of getting a good center and anything really in a buyout candidacy or just free agency, like I said about Demarcus Cousins. So it can get interesting here. There's a lot of things that could still go down for the Sixers, and I think they did honestly the best thing they could. Ink said Jeff Teague was traded to the Magic in part of the Evan Fournier trade, and the Magic will waive Teague. Got you.
Yeah, that doesn't move the needle much for me either way.
He'll end up getting picked up by somebody. Jeff Teague.
Yeah. Golden State.
He's a good backup point guard. When is the buyout deadline? Do you know what that is? When is the buyout deadline? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Can you look that one up?
Yeah.
The Indiana Pacers have waived guard Jalen LeCue.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you don't know Jalen, I don't know if it's LeQuay or LeCue or like what. I don't know.
I think you got it.
But he is 20 years old, an athletic 20-year-old will become available to teams. That's a guy who is like, if you like looking at athletic dunks, go watch some highlight reels of Jalen LeCue. He's a beast. I
can't find this like where it might not even have a specific day because of I'm not sure.
It definitely has a
2
specific day.
No, I know they usually do. It was the only reason that made me think that is because of the 2-day or the 2-way thing that they got rid of in terms of you can bring people up whenever. So I don't know if there's any restrictions on the last date you can add to your roster.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm thinking.
Cody said, "When can we see Hill?" I'm not sure. I would assume as soon as he goes through COVID protocols and is with the team. Usually that's how trades work. It's nothing crazy. So you'll probably see him soon. And being that the point guard position or our point guard position or backup point guard position is pretty plug and play in the sense of it's pick and rolls and just running around picks. It's not like there's crazy. It's not like he's a starter who has to come in and completely like have a crazy offense. Like he'll be all right. Like Semi said, he's got a passive physical, and typically they're making people quarantine before going. So I'm not sure if they do that, if they're doing that with trades, but they've been doing that with people coming back from the G League bubble. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it took Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson. Like they took the Oregon Trail from Golden State last year and took them like a week and a half to get here. But I think he'll be here probably pretty soon.
Teddy said, "I came in late. How do you all feel about Hill?" I love it. I think it's a really good move. I think it not only helps you in the sense of having a backup point guard who's had legitimate playoff minutes on multiple teams and multiple occasions. He's a good vet. He can definitely mentor Shake, in my opinion, but can also bring you legitimate minutes on a winning team. A great three-point shooter, one of the best catch-and-shoot backup point guards in the league in past few years and this year as well. And can just give you a lot, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on him in general for anyone who came in late?
Yeah, great catch and shoot guy. His numbers last year. The number I keep coming back to is the one that Tiago tweeted out where he was over 50% on catch and shoot threes last year, and he was the only player in the NBA to be so. So I thought that was really impressive. Something I wouldn't have thought. I do know he was a helpful guy from Milwaukee, but I'm really excited to see what he can add to the team, and I do think that the most interesting thing that he brings, which you've talked about a lot, is the pressure it takes off Shake Milton, and how Shake Milton can really be an off-ball guy and focus more on maybe his three-point shot will come back a little bit if he's not having to create for his own as much. So I think that could be the most positive outcome of the George Hill trade is what it will do for Shake Milton.
Yeah, and I do want to say too, Matt G said it's a good trade without Tony Bradley. I can understand that. I can understand the mindset of wanting to keep Tony because obviously he's been doing a good job with the team. But I do want to say once again, I've said it a few times for anyone who came in late, that Daryl Morey would not trade away his two reserve centers in Tony Bradley and Vincent Poirier if he did not have a guy lined up. Right now, on the Sixers roster, their only legitimate centers are Joel Embiid and Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard being, I believe he's 35, 36 years old, and Joel Embiid being hurt right now. Paul Reed's obviously there too. If you don't already know, I'm the Delaware Bluecoats beat reporter for the Painted Lines. So I know all there is to know about Paul Reed, and I love the guy. But if you want a legitimate 7-foot backup center, I think there undoubtedly that Morey has a guy lined up to come in. We have the money to bring in free agents and bring out buyout candidates, and it just wouldn't surprise. It just, to me, you're going to be okay center wise. I wouldn't be too concerned with that. Like I said, Morey is going to be okay. Real quick, once LaMarcus Aldridge completes a buyout with the Spurs, the Miami Heat are expected to emerge as front runners to sign him, according to Woj. Not surprising to me. Not surprising to me.
Two quick comments here. One thing, I know my dad already said this, and it's just not true. We could have gotten Fournier for 2 second-round picks, and Daryl did not do it. We didn't have an $18 million trade exception. Boston had a trade exception to the point where they were able to trade for Fournier and not give back Orlando anything, and that's what I'm sure Orlando was interested in as well, because they didn't want to take back any salary. We would have had to trade like Danny Green to make that possible and get Evan Fournier, and Evan Fournier might not even be better than Danny Green. So for the people out there who are just like, oh, why didn't we trade a first, or why didn't we trade 2 seconds or 3 seconds? It's because we would have also had to trade salary commensurate to what Evan Fournier is, which Boston did not, which gave them a leg up in getting a guy like an Evan Fournier. And then another point I wanted to make was that it just came out that Luke Cornett was traded to the Celtics in that Mo Wagner trade. That's a guy that I've wanted for months on the Sixers. So that's upsetting. That's all I want. That's all I wanted to say. He can hit threes.
Yeah, I hear that. Someone asked, what do you think the lineup will be tonight without Tony Bradley against the Lakers? I do think there is a chance you see Paul Reed at that starting 5 spot tonight. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because Montrezl Harrell right now, I believe, is their starting center, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct by that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know AD's out, LeBron's out. But Montrezl Harrell right now, a smaller center, is their starting center. I wouldn't be shocked if you see the 6'9", G League Rookie of the Year and MVP, or G League Rookie of the Year, MVP, first team G League, first team All Defense, first rookie team. He had an insane bubble with the G League this year with the Bluecoats. So I would not be surprised if you see Paul Reed starting and Dwight Howard coming off the bench tonight.
Yeah, and even with Gasol, their other center, it's not like Gasol's going to score 30 against you. It's like, even if Paul Reed's covering Gasol, I know he's a bigger guy. He's definitely like every bit of 7 foot or whatever he is. But I think that Paul Reed isn't going to get killed by Marc Gasol on offense, really. Marc Gasol will make a couple passes and he'll get a couple rebounds, sure. But I think Paul Reed is well worth throwing out there for legitimate minutes tonight to see what we've got.
Yeah. So I think there is, regarding the center situation, y'all, I've said it multiple times. I don't be concerned about that. I think it's a very good possibility that Daryl Morey would not move that many pieces center wise in a deal if he didn't have guys coming in. Simple as that. He has a guy lined up, and to me it's very surprising if he didn't already. Igna's even worth keeping. I don't know much about him.
He hasn't played. About him? Yeah, he played like 4 games this year. He played 9 games last year. He went to Michigan. He was a shooter at Michigan. He's a college player. He's not an NBA player. They can get rid of him for nothing. I imagine he could probably get waived.
Magic says he thinks he can get waived. I just know he's a 6'6" 6'6", 6'9" wingspan, and that's all I really know. I don't know much about him, to be honest. Realistically, if Isaiah Joe isn't getting minutes on this team, that guy is not either.
I thought we were going to waive Foye though, and we kept him for the whole first half of the year. So who knows?
Realistically, it worked out in the sense where and that's exactly why I thought we were keeping him, was partially because of bench depth in and having Joel and him being possibly injured throughout the year and possibly, but also trade wise, like we got Vincent Poirier as a throw in the Danny Green trade, and now he's a throw in the trade to acquire George Hill. So I think it makes sense. We got another. What are options? What are our options for centers in the buyout? So right now, centers, you got LaMarcus Aldridge, Andre Drummond, not buyout, but a free agent. It will be Demarcus Cousins, and personally, that is my number one guy, for reasons I already stated. And if you want to know the reason, go look at my Twitter at J_Persichetti on Twitter. Go look at that. I tweeted out about how Demarcus Cousins would make basically the offensive minutes with Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons drastically better in comparison to Dwight or Tony Bradley when he was here. So definitely go check that out. Gamer Guy Ryan says, what are your thoughts about Lowry? Do you want to go on that one?
Yeah, I feel like a broken record talking about it so much.
Realistically, we got new people coming in here.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I should make my opinion more known. I did not want Kyle Lowry at all. I did not want, especially to trade Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle for Kyle Lowry, because every trade that I look at, I view in a worldview against the Lakers, the Bucks, and more importantly than anybody, the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't think a 6-foot, 35-year-old point guard is really going to move the needle against those teams when you need guys that can cover Kyrie, Harden, and KD. Against the Bucks, you need guys that can cover Middleton and Giannis. And then against the Lakers, you need guys who can cover LeBron. And even if you want to stretch it out to maybe say AD for 4s and 5s, but I didn't see the need. I understand going and getting a George Hill to bring in as a backup point guard. So I see the need in terms of another guard that can help create and can help shoot. But Kyle Lowry, if he was supposed to cost what Toronto was asking in terms of Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Danny Green, 2 first-round picks, that is pure insanity. That trade was never going to happen, and I am extremely happy that we did not bring Kyle Lowry to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm not as against the Lowry thing as Mark is. I think Lowry is a guy that could easily work with this team. I just think ultimately the moves that has been made to just acquire George Hill gives you flexibility more in the future and this season. You now still have the chance to bring in more guys on your cap. You still have your mid-level exception around that $8 million mark. You have a lot more you can still do now by just giving up what you did. Also, team chemistry is really important, and you now keep that starting unit together. You keep most of this bench the same. I think the moves made sense. You brought in a legitimate backup playmaking point guard who can also hit threes at a consistent rate. A guy who can mentor Shake Milton. Probably the best backup point guard we've had on this team since TJ McConnell, and he's better than TJ McConnell. So I think that there's no real bad. And also in that trade, you only gave up reserve players. Obviously, Tony Bradley, not a reserve right now, but was a reserve when you had a healthy lineup. And like I said, once again, I think the only way you're giving up those 2 backup centers or 2 reserve centers is if you know you have a guy you're going to bring in. And I do think that guy is going to end up being Demarcus Cousins. So I think to me that's the thing that makes the most sense. I'm going to say it one more time. If you want to know my opinion on that, go follow me on Twitter at J_Persichetti, where I gave an explanation as to why I think Demarcus Cousins would be a perfect fit in the backup lineup with Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle on the court.
I think we got to get out of here for the Faithful Fanatics.
Yeah, we do. We got to
get
out of here in less than 5 minutes. So, listen. If you're not already, please like the video. If you're not already subscribe. We do this kind of stuff all the time. I'm the G League Delaware Bluecoats beat reporter for the Painted Lions. We have beat reporters for the Sixers as well, and Austin Krell and Jason Blevins. We're very in the loop on the Sixers, on Philly sports, and just all that's going on. And if you want more talk like this, we do a post-game shows after just about every Sixers game. Not sure if we'll have one tonight, but hopefully we will. We'll see. It's really late, so we will see if we have that going on tonight. But post-game shows live right after tip-off, right after the buzzer. Yeah, so go follow us on Twitter, me at J_Persichetti, Mark at Mark Henry Jr. _ Also, he runs a podcast on here on our YouTube channel. It's called the Tough Cover Podcast, giving you all your sports betting. So definitely go look at that. Mark misses only a little bit. Only a little bit.
Less than I hit. That's all that matters.
Definitely.
Go check that out, the Tough Cover Podcast. I'm not having one today due to the faithful fans and the Tyrone interview later. I'm gonna hold off tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. I'll be giving my American League predictions. You can check that out whenever you want. I'll be doing it at 8 a.m. So, and then at 5 p.m., more importantly, I'll be having my man Alex Carr on from The Good Fight at Alex Carr MLB to talk Phillies. It'll be less of a gambling talk than what I usually have on the Tough Cover Podcast. But yeah, it's going on tomorrow 2 times, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. A little bit different shows, but both about baseball, switching up gears.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And make sure at 4 o'clock we have another show called The Faithful Fanatics with Dylan Davis and I believe Gint, Matt McGinty, I'm assuming is going to be on there.
Yeah, you can go drink Matt McGinty's tears and listen to that podcast.
Yes, sir, because he really wanted Lowry. So make sure you go there, talk to them about Kyle Lowry. They're probably gonna have different opinions than us. At 7:30 tonight, the Daily Dose. I can't even think.
The Daily
Dose with Dylan Davis. He is going to be on there talking to Tyrone Johnson, the 97.5 radio show producer and host. So if you want to talk to Tyrone Johnson, make sure you go check that out. All the opinions and hot takes about the trade deadline, all that stuff. Definitely go follow that and go watch that podcast. It's going to be great. That's at 7:30. We got another show coming on at 4 right after this. Make sure you please like the video. Go follow us on Twitter. And listen, guys, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Please subscribe. We don't make money on this. I'm going to say it right now. We don't make money on this stuff. So liking and subscribing and commenting on all our videos really helps us get out there and get out to everybody else. So thank you for watching. We will see y'all next time. Hope you enjoyed the trade deadline as much as we did. Peace.